Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films Theatre with your hosts, Matthew Ayalew and Ethan R. Hill. How's that? That was good?
Yeah. Classic. Classic. What's going on, my fellow movie fans? Welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films. This is episode 32. I'm Matthew Ayalew, and with me, as always, is...
Ethan R. Hill.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, just hanging out, dying of heat, but nothing new for the summertime months of, well, I guess Calgary, but Canadian living, I guess, in general.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like we got like our winters are so cold. Like the summers are like, come on, man. Like it's so hot. It's
you guys complained about the cold?
And we're just like, where's that global warming? And then summer shows up and we're like, oh, there it is. Okay, we found it. We found it, guys. It's cool. Who
turned up the thermostat? Who touched the thermostat?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? We're not alone today. It's not just me and Ethan. We're also joined again by a special guest, Mr. Jesse Prosser. Say hello to all the nice people, Jesse.
Oh, hey everybody, how are you doing today?
When did you get here?
Jesse Prossenator.
Jesse, you're going to be visited by Arnold today. We're going
Get
to
to the
talk
chopper.
about the movies and get to the chopper and all these things. Hi everybody, I'm here.
Oh yeah, because
And they're gone.
Thanks for confirming that it was you there, because people totally believe for that 30 seconds that we actually got Arnold Schwarzenegger. So thank you for clearing that up.
Well, I like
With
to
a
think-
handful of listeners, like, Arnie, come on, this is gonna be a good move for your career, brother. Trust me.
thing.
You
I really love these guys.
You
They're
I,
super cool.
I was watching the podcast and I'd like to say that these people need my support and I'm going to give it to them.
Can't you get in trouble legally for impersonating somebody?
I think it falls under parody.
Isn't that identity theft?
Yeah.
Identity theft isn't a joke, Jim.
Do you want to be Chris Pratt's father-in-law?
I'll take it. Why not?
I mean, can I marry him then?
Sure, why not? And
It seems like a very fruitful conversation that we're having.
oh
here.
yes,
I think so. I think it's a good topic. Which celebrity would you impersonate so your best friend could marry their in-law? All right, I think that's a great topic.
I thought you were gonna say, which celebrity are you gonna? Should you impregnate? Where are you going with this? And then it totally was not that. And I was like, well, that makes more sense.
well, thank
Well,
God for
there's
that.
the question of the day. Which celebrity would you marry?
Oh man, fun times. Well, if this is not a reason to come hang out on a Feast of Films podcast, I don't know what is. Just great, soulful, hearty, good old-fashioned conversation that's good for the soul. Anyway, like I said,
what celebrity you're gonna impregnate? Yes, Matt. Very soulful.
very hearty. It's some good feels, good heart.
That's a tough question. That's a real tough question.
I hadn't thought about it before, but
Harrison
you know what?
Ford. I want Harrison Ford.
into himself, man, into himself.
Make a bunch of indie juniors. I think that would be a good choice. That would
Why
be a really
did it
good
have to be
choice.
snakes?
Welcome everybody to A Feast of Films. Today, the topic we're talking about today, and I'll tell you kind of what we're going to go into next week here as well, just to give you a little bit of heads up. But today we're talking about our favorite films from 2005. We are back going through the years, and we're at 2005. We were 14 in 2005?
Yes. I don't remember.
I was 14. I'm assuming you were. What year were you born,
13.
Prosser?
He's a year younger.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was 13. So,
1992 crowd.
the most mature films are getting picked for this episode. You know
Oh,
that's how
yeah.
it's going.
Are you sure we were 14?
Yeah, because we're always a year under the date.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we would have been 15 if it was 1990. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I trust you, Matt. I don't.
Math is tough. So
I don't do math.
here are
It certainly
14-year-old, our favorite films from 14-year-olds and a 13-year-old watching movies. I can't see how any of this is possibly
Matt,
gonna go
just
wrong
wait-
here.
Just wait till we get to like
Again,
5-year-old,
it's gonna be some
4-year-old
more.
us.
It's gonna be some more soulful, heartfelt, good for the soul conversation. That's all I know. It's coming down the track. So that's what we're talking
100%.
about today. 2005 favorite films, and then we're gonna go into a couple questions of the day. Next week, though, make sure you come back next week, next Monday, because we're also talking about comfort films. Like, you know, comfort food when you're feeling sad, you got to get that big old bowl of mac and cheese, maybe some chicken in there, like some sausage and ketchup and like hot sauce over that bad boy Parmesan
Sounds
cheese.
like the best
Throw
mac
it in
and
the
cheese
oven,
ever.
get that crust on there so it's like creamy and crunchy and spicy and hot and meat. Oh my gosh.
I thought you were listing off a bunch of different
Oh.
meals here.
No, one.
That's all in the mac and cheese.
It's
haven't you
going
gotta-
in the
haven't-
comfort mac and cheese, baby. Some pepper, some onions, some jalapenos. Get it all in there.
I'm
Man,
fine
So
with this.
good.
Honestly, like maybe this is an age thing, or maybe it's just my body hates me. But like, I feel like if I eat that stuff, it doesn't comfort me. It just makes me feel like a lot worse.
It makes me feel
Listen.
really good for the time. Maybe a little bit
Listen,
sad
you-
later on
listen,
when I
you
ate
feel-
like the whole
listen,
thing, and I'm like,
Listen,
wow,
you feel
Lord,
a lot of relief afterwards. Let me tell you.
Wow,
You
Lord.
walk into the bathroom, look at yourself in the mirror, and you're like,
Oh,
I'm
God.
ashamed.
Oh God, this is a new low.
It feels so good at the time, but then later you're just like, why would I do that?
I need a cold shower now.
That's when I
Well,
decide,
time to
like,
start exercising again.
Yeah, it's really like, you know what? I've earned this. I'm gonna eat a whole large pizza, and then 2
Yep.
hours later, it's like, oh,
Why did I
no.
do that?
Oh,
Dude,
God.
I've been there, and we've
then-
all been there.
You always say the same thing. Well, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, like
See,
5 months later, you're like, I've earned this large pizza again. Let's go.
I
Let's
mean, the
go.
whole thing
but
right
this
now.
is where comfort
100%,
movies is
100%.
better though.
Yeah, they're less
But
fat.
the movies we're talking about are also the movies that you watch while you're eating that comfort food, crying on the couch.
It's all
You
part and
know,
parcel.
It's all part of it. So we're gonna go into our comfort films, the movies we watch that make us feel joy and happiness, maybe a little bit of a shame at the end as well. That's a very big possibility. Who knows? Who knows? We're gonna talk about the next week though, so come back for that and bring your favorite comfort food. But for now, this week, let's get into our favorite films of 2005. Who wants to start?
Oh goodness. Well, I
Should
think
we
we,
let
all
it-
have some. We all have some decently long lists.
My list isn't like super long, but it is. I feel like some of them are pretty unique because I was pretty into the whole like I'm black when I was 14. So there's a lot of like I'm black movies.
I'd say there's
I'm
really
so
anything
disappointed
like that
Rush
for
Hour 2
myself,
didn't come
but-
out because I wanted to talk about that, but I was like, oh, that's not a 2005 movie. It's a little earlier still than that. We're getting closer though. We're
I
getting
mean,
closer.
it's like, as a teenage white kid, I was really into V for Vendetta. Let me tell you.
Link the whitest movie. I, Robot.
I Robot.
To be fair, it did have Will Smith, but there was
did.
a
And
lot
the-
of
and
really
the
white
police.
robots.
The police captain was also black.
Yeah, there you go.
Good point.
There you are. Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, I think we should start with our guest, Prosser. Let him get his picks out of the way for 2005 so we can have some good discussions, and then maybe we'll go Ethan and then myself. Because I think I led the way last time. I'm just trying to think
don't
back to the
remember,
2006 ones, which was a
All
while
right.
ago, because we already did another one and Star Wars in between that. So, but we'll start with Prosser. Prosser, what do you got, Matt? Or maybe do you guys want to do like one at a time? You want to try that out? Like you give a movie, you give a movie. And when I
Yeah.
say you, I'm pointing at them on the screen, but you guys can't see that. So I'm pointing. Prosser gets a movie, Ethan,
Yeah.
and then myself, and we'll kind of maybe go through our
'cause,
list
like,
that way.
because I know there's definitely a movie on my list that like Ethan's gonna want to talk about. So like, I don't mind picking something else here. We'll get this discussion
He
going.
can see my list, and I guess I could see his if I looked over. But that's
Mine's a secret.
Wow.
wow. There's only 3 crossovers on me and Prosser's list.
Oh, that's actually kind of amazing, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I left a few off because like I figured we'd all talk about them.
Well, and like there is a movie that I want to mention on this podcast, but not because we'll get to it anyway. So we're gonna start this off. I want to talk about. I'm gonna kind of talk about 2 movies at once, and
Not allowed. Just
and
kidding. Go ahead.
And I think it's gonna make sense when I start talking about it.
Well, it's definitely not making any sense now, so
Okay.
it can't hurt.
We don't monetize. We
It
make no
could.
sense.
So
Very true, very true.
So the first movie I'm going to be talking about, and by proxy, the second movie as well, because we talked about last week where there was The Prestige. Well, not last week, but last time I was on, we talked about The Prestige.
I was gonna say last week. I was like, man, I don't
like-
remember
it's been
talking
like
to you
6
last
It's been
week.
a long
man.
time. Been a long time since I've been on. Like, for me, it feels like last week. But anyway, time has no meaning anymore. We talked about The Prestige, but then we also mentioned
The Illusionist.
The Illusionist, which came out in the same year and had a very similar premise, but was not nearly as popular. So, so I want to talk about
Two movies that are not popular at all.
Yes, pretty much. Because
We're off to
I
another great start.
I saw the list and I saw that The Descent came out this year, and The Descent is one of my favorite horror films that's come out. Came out. in
Did
the
The
early
Descent?
2000s
I didn't
there.
notice that on my list. I must
Yeah,
have
man.
missed it.
Oh yeah, but no, The Descent. For those who don't know, it was directed by Neil Marshall, who recently directed the new Hellboy reboot. But before he did that, he did much better things, such as episodes of Game of Thrones.
Oh man.
He directed one of my favorite werewolf movies, Dog Soldiers, which I think is just a really awesome, fun movie. And he also directed a movie called Doomsday, which is also just a fun, kind of
Post-apocalypse movie.
yeah, kind of fun escape from New York meets Mad Max kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
But The Descent to me is easily his best movie. It's essentially these 4 women go
Spelunking.
yeah, spelunking. Thank you, Ethan.
You're welcome.
They
I was gonna
descend.
say-
They descend.
they descend.
Places.
Yeah, they go into this cave system, and once they're down there, they find themselves being hunted by subterranean humanoid creatures that essentially are it's like these humans that lived underground for so long that they adjusted to their environments. They're almost like these kind of human bat type creatures, and basically it becomes this really harrowing survival movie that all takes place in this cave system, and it's it's brutal, it's awesomely shot, it's well acted, the horror and the action are great in it. Yeah, I would highly recommend The Descent to anyone who just wants a really solid claustrophobic horror movie experience, and
It's
gets
intense.
I really need to watch it again. I really need to watch it again. Yeah.
It honestly, it aged really well because he showed me The Descent and the other one he's going to talk about. He showed me both of them just so I knew what they're about. And out of the two of them, The Descent ages incredibly well.
This is a movie the 4 leads are women, and they're all very strong, very distinct characters, and they're all fucking great. It's a great movie. It gets brutal as hell. The creature design's really cool. It feels very grounded in reality of oh, what would a subterranean humanoid race kind of look like if they lived underground for how many years? So yeah, The Descent's just fan-frickin-tastic.
Isn't it a weird thing where they're also they turn into the things, or is that
No, that's the other movie that I'm going
okay.
to talk about.
The Descent 2.
No, actually. Well,
Electric Boogaloo?
The Descent 2 is not great. I would not recommend The Descent 2. But a movie I would recommend that came out in the same year and has a very similar premise is one called The Cave.
Is it anything like The Cove?
No dolphins in this one, although they do go underwater in multiple scenes. But basically, in The Cave, the scientists discover a basically an undisturbed underground ecosystem. It's not El Dorado, no, but it's
Grotto, I said grotto.
yeah, underground ecosystem. Basically,
I said grotto, and you're like El Dorado.
I sound like you said
so.
El Dorado.
You're just the city
Grotto.
of gold? No. They did not find that.
I said a grotto.
Full disclosure, everyone, I'm incredibly tired. I just finished working on the show I was on, and
Oh yeah, excuses.
No
Excuses.
excuses.
He slept for
He's
like
like, I'm a
12
working
hours.
adult. I don't have time
No,
for this
I'm not.
podcast
Like,
stuff. I'm
yeah.
so tired. And we're just
Well,
like, no
I was-
excuses.
I was up at 8:30, and you got up at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, because I slept good finally.
Oh,
I
there
bought a good pillow.
Well, there you go. But anyway.
Oh yeah, Matt, quickly. How do you say pillow?
Pillow?
I thought it was maybe a Saskatchewan thing, but apparently no.
This man has been saying pillow wrong for years, ladies and gentlemen.
I just say pillow. It's fine.
What, hello? Is that what you
yeah.
say?
Yeah.
He says palo.
No, I don't say palo. I don't say it with an A.
With
I
an
say it with
E.
an E.
Hello.
Yeah, pillow.
Hello.
I don't say pillow. I say pillow. I don't know why. I've just always
I
said
got
it
my
like that.
pillow here. Like, you what?
Wait, how do you say bagel?
Bagel?
Yeah, like a normal
What's
human
wrong?
being.
I'm normal. I've met people who talk like me too.
Yeah.
Are you like English or something? Like, oh, we need the pillow. Bring that
go
over
to
here.
Alf
Get
Bagel.
a
Go
pillow,
to
a
bagel.
bagel.
Bagel
I mean,
my
like,
palo.
I did grow up watching like a lot of like old and British TV, so like there's
That
a good
might
chance.
explain a
Might
lot.
explain a lot.
Doesn't
yeah.
explain jack shit, let me tell you.
I say that just fine. Thank you very much.
But anyway,
Jacques Shoot. That's a French. What? Who watched a lot of French TV? So it's I like Jacques Shoot.
but a word that
Hamburger.
we- Hamburger.
I would like to buy them burger.
Hamburger.
The burger.
But
Burger.
oh my
That was a
God.
great scene. Like that movie
It's so
itself
good.
was like
It's
all right.
so-
Like I didn't like it was good. I like Steve Martin, but that scene was hilarious, man. I was like, this is great. Sorry, what's the cave about?
the cave is
El Dorado? Is that where we left off?
No, it's about a grotto.
a grotto.
Where there's plenty of pillows and bagels for everybody.
But essentially,
Hey, little pillows and bagels for everyone.
Watcha.
good lord. But anyway, so these scientists discover the entrance to this underground ecosystem at the base of a church, and like they actually go through like they do some like really cool like world building like before you even like get into the cave system itself, where like essentially this church was like where like holy knights would enter into the underground and they would fight winged demons under there as like a rite of passage. So like already they're getting to like this weird like lore stuff with this place.
Right.
And then the scientists get into this underground ecosystem. They're discovering these different creatures, and then very similar to the Descent. Like I said, they find themselves hunted by these like giant winged creatures, which you come to find out used to be humans. And like, but like instead of the Descent, where it kind of takes more of a realistic take on that whole thing, these are
Right.
basically just like giant like bat monsters with like amphibious features. Like they're like big hulking like winged like demon looking things.
They just went all out on that one.
Oh yeah, they went full like monster.
They just went
creature
all out.
feature, 100%, man. And like, it's funny because like I actually saw the cave before I saw the Descent, and I kept being like, "Bah, there's no way the Descent could be a better movie than the Cave, obviously."
No way.
And then I saw the Descent, and I'm like, it kind of makes the Cave not look as good anymore. But
I mean, the cave made the cave not look that good.
yeah, but like, there's a lot of cool ideas in it, and you can tell like they didn't quite have the budget
be
to pull off
fair.
a lot of the stuff they wanted to do. But
Right.
it's got some really cool practical effects. There's some solid performances in it. All the like, they put a lot of time into like the science of like their rebreathers and like how they're able to be underwater and things like that. The skills of them being able to climb these like cave walls, things like that. How the creatures work, all that stuff. They put a lot of effort into like the mechanics of like how their characters do things and how the creatures operate, which I appreciate. Ultimately, like again, not as good a movie as The Descent, but I think both are definitely fun and worth watching in their own right.
Right.
So like,
Right.
yeah. So I definitely want to talk about both of those because like, oh, and The Cave also, for those of you who are fans of symphonic metal, ends with a Nightwish song. So that's something.
None of our listeners are fans of symphonic metal
Yeah,
because
it-
no one likes that but you.
You never know. You never know. But anyways, yeah. So The Descent, my main recommendation. And if you want to watch a movie that's not quite as good but still enjoyable with a similar premise, The Cave is another one that's worth watching, in my opinion.
So what point do they find El Dorado? Because that's where I'm lost. At
that's
what
it.
point
Well,
does
like,
the city of gold
First they
come
have
in
to
here,
find-
guys?
First, they have to find the road, and then eventually
Yeah.
they will find.
The El Dorado, yeah.
Yeah, I think they follow like the yellow brick road or something, isn't that? That's how that
Yes,
works, right?
I remember when Dorothy ended up in El Dorado. That's my
In a
favorite.
cave system. It was a very confusing movie.
It didn't. Yeah, it did not end well for old Scarecrow there.
It was a very confusing film.
If I only had some gold.
Just like a secret sequel to Wizard of Oz. Like, what is happening right now?
Oh my god. But anyway, yeah. So
The
that's
Wizard of El Dorado. Okay.
the Wizard of El Dorado.
Thanks for your cave inclusions. I thought you were going to talk about I get what you were talking about at the beginning when you were talking about like the illusionist or whatever. I thought that was your pick for 2005, and you're like, no, they're connected. Just wait. Excuse me. You're like, no, they're connected. Just wait. And then you're like, then you start talking about The Descent. I was like, how is that anything connected to the illusion?
But no, it's basically the idea of like again.
I get what you were saying now, and you're saying, well, when I
Yeah.
talked about these two films last time. And
No,
whatever.
The Descent is actually a sequel to The Illusionist.
Like, that's what
Hugh Jackman was down
I
there.
I was just like, dude, what are you talking about right now? I don't know how these
Norton
are
was
connected.
in The Illusionist.
Oh god.
And then you mentioned the cave, and I was like, oh, that was The Illusionist was not his pick. He was referring to something else because I was like, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure The Illusionist did not come out in 2005, but we'll see where this plays out.
It's the whole like, oh, one studio found out that like one studio was making a movie like this that was getting a lot of hype. Let's do a movie. We got this script that's very similar. Let's do that. Like
That happens in Hollywood all the time. Eh?
whether it's parallel thinking or whether one studio talked to another studio, who knows? Like cave movies are going to be hot this year. Let me tell you.
Cave movies, it's all the rage. It's all the rage.
Oh yes.
All right,
Still just a rat in
thank
the
you for
cave.
that, Prosser. Ethan, what do you got? Which movie you want to talk about?
I'm gonna start off with a really weird one. I'm gonna start. Let's talk about robots. Have either of you seen robots?
That's on my list. Yep.
I actually have not seen robots.
He's never seen robots. It's
Dude,
like
what a
Cars
shame.
all over again.
What a
It's gonna
shame.
be like Cars.
Are we shaming Prosser for not seeing a children's movie in
Prosser's
2005?
like, you gotta see The Descent and this weird cave thing. It's like, have you seen robots? It's like,
Have you watched a more age-appropriate movie for when we're...
did you watch a more age-appropriate movie for a 13-year-old? He's like,
No, I watch hard R stuff. Just violence, gore, death.
I mean, obviously, like
No, but like, robots is very underrated, right?
It is. It's super underrated. I really enjoyed Robots.
There's so many really great jokes, like adult jokes
Robin
in there.
Williams, man.
Robin Williams, Ewan McGregor,
he was so
Amanda
funny.
Bynes.
This is actually like funny, like because I put like Robots on my list, so we won't have to talk about it anymore. But it was also on my list. Like I'm just saying, I won't have to bring it up again.
Oh, it sounds
but I
so
wanted to bring
great.
up. I wanted to bring up the point that this is kind of like the year of Ewan McGregor. He had like 3 films at least.
Oh yeah,
that came out this year.
oh shit, yeah. Another movie I want to talk about, actually, yeah.
Me
I
too.
see 2 for sure. I'm just, what's the third? Cause I see The Island. Like,
The Island,
what's the third one?
Dude,
Star Wars.
Oh,
oh my
that's
god.
not on my list. Cause
I was
why
like,
would we?
bro.
Y'all did a 2-part
Why would we?
episode
Why
on
would we
it.
talk about Star Wars this time when we just talked about it?
Well, no, but I just put it on the like.
I
I'm
didn't
not-
put it on my
I
list at
just
all.
put it on my
put it on
list just
mine,
because
but
I'm like,
yeah.
yes, I like episode 3 was definitely the best one, arguably of the first, the prequel.
Prequels, yeah.
I just picked up the Star
But
Wars.
I was just stating, like, even not on our list, it's like Ewan McGregor was at least in those 3 films, which were pretty solid films for 2005, and I was like, damn man, you're Ewan McGregor that year, just killing it, slaying.
We got the Star Wars 4Ks. Finally, I think we have all of them except for Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yep.
Because apparently the restoration for Revenge of the Sith is great. Originally, we were planning to not get any of the prequels, and I'm like, I can get one good prequel, I guess.
Yeah,
The
I
one
guess I could
decent
get
movie.
one decent one, yeah.
Yes, back
Anyway.
to robots though.
Back to robots.
Away from droids and back to robots. This is one I used to watch like a lot, like because it's one that I don't know. Just the jokes hit me different. Like they were just really funny. Robin Williams' performance was great.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of cheesy, but like in the best way possible. And like I don't have too much to say about it other than just like it's so underrated. So many people I talk to, they've never seen it. They have no idea what it is. And it's just like it's a good movie about following your dreams and not giving up and basically just doing whatever you can to succeed. It inspired me to leave home. That's what it did.
Well, that's exactly it, right? like it is just it is ultimately at the end of the day a story. Like no matter how many people tell you you can't do it or you're not good enough, or like like you're not the right class or the prestige, like to keep following your dreams, to keep pushing, to try and achieve your dreams, no matter how unlikely they may seem. Like it was such like a good story of like even like the relationship that he had with his father was really touching. Like there's just like a lot of really like good family friendship messages in there as well. Like it's super heartwarming. It actually arguably is probably one of my comfort films that I would talk about. Like I haven't watched in a long time, but when I think about it, it's like, you know what, if I just want to feel good, like a feel good film, it's definitely one of those ones I would totally go to. Easy.
Also, it also has Jerry from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, Jerry. I totally forgot. Man, you know Jerry.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
Jerry.
Man,
Yeah, the
I
host
love
of
Drew.
Whose Line.
Isn't his name like Drew Jerry?
I thought it was Jerry Carey.
It's Drew Jerry.
Shut up.
You're not gonna live that down ever.
Jerry.
You were
Both work. Oh man, no, I agree with you though, man. Robots, yeah.
Honestly, one of my favorite jokes in there is like the when they're, I think, what is it? The robots part place, they're discontinuing like parts for old rusted out bots or something like that.
Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor's like, it's like, what are you guys doing? There should be an angry mob outside. And then suddenly an angry mob shows up. And then Rumley was like, quick, now say something like, I wish your money was falling from the sky. Say it. Say it.
That was such a good part. I liked how like when Ewan McGregor was growing up, like his character, like he kept having to get like his sister's hand-me-down parts, so he was that was great.
It's so good. Like it's just so good.
Like it just showed like because he didn't come from like a rich, powerful family, right? Like they were just like normal
Regular
bots,
people.
and like they could only afford like hand-me-downs things, right? Like new parts are expensive, man.
No, it's so good. It's so well thought out. And again, it's people
Man,
just
makes
don't
me
know
just
it
miss
exists.
work. Makes me really miss Robin Williams right now. It's like, man.
It's just, most things make me miss Robin Williams.
Yeah. That's true.
So Matt, what makes you what one of your films doesn't make you miss Robin Williams?
I'm debating which one I want to start with because I got like some like there's ones I think we all enjoy and I don't like I guess we can talk about those maybe as we go. But I'm just debating. It's like what's like some like because I have some really like dumb films in here because I was 14 and I was like, this is hilarious stuff. And I think the one I want to talk about first, which is like because it's one I actually did watch recently. I think it was on Netflix or Amazon. It was one of the two. Maybe it was Disney Plus. It might have been Disney Plus under Star. I can't remember. Anyway, it's one of the streaming services. And I saw it and I was like, okay, I gotta watch this to see how this holds up because society is so different nowadays. And that is Johnny Knoxville's The Ringer.
Oh no, I love The Ringer.
Have you guys seen
It has
that movie?
The Ringer has such an actually good message. It
I
looks super offensive. It is dressed
but
really offensive.
But it has such a good message.
It is
and that
such
was
a
that
good
was my
message.
point. Like it is one of my favorite films of 2005, no doubt, especially when I was 14. Like I was killing it laughing. And then when I was watching it just recently, I was like, this actually has a really good message. And at no part of the film do they ever justify what he does. Their film is constantly reminding you that this guy's a monster. I mean, they gave him a really good So, okay, just for like, for any of you guys who don't know, Johnny Knoxville's character enters the Special Olympics to earn money so he can get his gardener guy that he hired. So he was supposed to fire this guy, but then he was like a really good guy and Johnny Knoxville didn't want to fire him, so he hired him as his own personal gardener. And he didn't have health insurance, so then of course the guy chops his finger off in a lawnmower, and then, it's kind of like, well, how do you pay for the surgery? And he has like 6 kids, and he's like Stavi, and he's like the nicest guy ever. And like, anyway, so in order to actually make the money, Johnny Knoxville's uncle convinces him to join the Special Olympics so he can beat all like the handicapped people. So it's like a horrible thing to do. It is like horrible.
It's terrible.
And I think a lot of people watching this film are immediately going to be like, this is trash. Don't watch it. It's so insensitive. So whatever, right? but if you actually sit through that initial stuff, that's like incredibly terrible because he has to imitate a handicapped person, which was even questionable in 2005. But like nowadays, it'd be just ridiculous. But the whole point of that story is like making these people like it's all about them and accepting them and how special they are. Like
And that's
special
because he
they are, their
connects-
gifts, that they're actually people and not just
Well, even his
whatever we
perspective
see
on
as
it.
society.
His perspective on it, he changes from seeing them as incapable people, and
Yeah.
begins realizing, oh no, they're
They're
like,
incredibly
they're just
capable.
like me. They're like,
Yeah.
and that's the cool thing. And by the end of it too, like just like the amount of the stances that he takes and the I don't know, just
And
I
the
think
the friendships that he develops with them as well,
100%.
right? Like it honestly is a really touching story with a really good message that is very, it's not making fun of handicapped people, even though that's what it seems at the beginning. That's not its purpose whatsoever. It has a much deeper message than that. And while it still is really funny, in the end, again, like that whole time, no one ever justifies what Johnny Knoxville's character is doing. The film never justifies it. There's one part where like he becomes friends with all his like the teammates and stuff, but that movie constantly reminds you what he's doing is actually really, really bad. Like it constantly brings it up, whether it's his interaction with his, love interest, whether it's like the guys getting pissed off at him and like bullying him and beating the crap out of him, you know what I mean? Or just being a dick to him, like, or even just his interactions like with his uncle, or how bad and guilty he feels when he has to put on the show and the performance, and constantly putting him in these positions where it's like morally questionable at best. And then in the end, it's his teammate that actually is the hero of the film, and he has to stand on stage and like admit to the world like I'm a huge dick. And like that, the film never justifies it. No one's like, "Oh, well, good job for you though, buddy." Like everyone's like, "You are clearly the worst human being ever." So like, while the film has that premise, it never celebrates that premise. It's constantly saying like he is literally the worst human being, and it reminds you all the freaking time. And it really makes, his other like competitors and everyone else and showing how capable they are and showing them as humans and as people, and making them really the heroes and the stars of the film. Like it's really a spotlight on them. It's their story at the end of the day, and it's just it's kind of sneaky how they told it through the perception of Johnny Knoxville's character, but it's really about them and their it's really focused on them and their stories, people and stuff. So it honestly, at the end of the day, I think even brings like it brings more awareness. I was like, this is actually honestly a really good film if you can get past the horrible aspect, of what his character's doing, which I don't think a lot of people could nowadays. But if you can, there's a really good message in there, and it is really funny, and it is really heartfelt too. It was
When the
more
heck
than
did
you're
we get ice
expecting out
cream?
of Johnny Knoxville. Yeah, when the hell did we get ice cream? That was so funny,
good.
man. Like, and all like the characters and all like the performers do so good in that film. Like it's just it's truly like it's a fun one to watch. Like again, at first you're just kind of like, ugh, especially watching in 2021. But you're like, oh, you start watching, you're like, oh, I get what they're doing here. Very smart. The Ringer. If you can handle it, go watch it. Because if you sit through the beginning, you're gonna be like, oh, I get what's going on here.
I've never
Anyway.
seen it.
Dude, Prosser. You're too busy watching cave movies, man. That's your damn problem. You haven't seen Robots. You haven't seen The Ringer.
Like, to be
But
fair,
you've seen two different cave films.
to be fair, I used to be like very particular about the kind of comedies I watch. Like, I was such a buzzkill in my teenage years when it came to
You
comedies.
were a buzzkill.
How dare you?
I show him stuff and he was like, "Oh, it's just not my thing."
Like I'm very like I don't like. There'll be some stuff I like. I think is like this is the dumbest thing ever, and I don't laugh at all. And then there'll be like just random stuff where I'm just like, that's the
They'll
most
just kill
hilarious
you.
thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like honestly, like the first, like it's like honestly the Lethal Weapon movies. Like I know, like especially the first one's like way more of a drama than anything else. But like I watch
It is.
those.
It's very, yeah.
But like,
It's very different, yeah.
but like I watched like the Lethal Weapon movies, and honestly, like the character dialogue and everything, I just laugh my ass off, and just like little things with the characters and the way they interact. Like a lot of my favorite comedies aren't comedies, is the best way I could describe it.
Fair enough.
Like,
Yeah.
but no, like it sounds like it, like, even though like some of the presentation wasn't there and might be like you guys said, like probably definitely questionable even back then, it seems like their heart was in the right place when they were trying to make the story.
For sure. Like, and if you watch it, yeah, like the first while before they actually get into the Special Olympics and the games and everything starts rolling, you're like, "Whoo, man, this is some questionable at best filmmaking." And then, you guys remember, this is like different time, right? Like 15
100%.
years ago, right? Like it's a totally different time that this film was made. Like there's no way they would have even made it today. I can't see it, without like the outrage and stuff behind it. But if you can get past that stuff, like the film has a purpose beyond, the silliness of it. Like, and it's not there to make fun of people. It's there to actually show you people,
Yeah.
and how, like, we're all people, man. Like, at the end of the day, it's got a great message and it has a purpose. So it's
Cool.
It's which is more than you can say, honestly, for most comedy films, because sometimes comedy films are just there to make you laugh, right? Like they don't have a higher meaning, and this one actually does. So I'll give him credit for that. And what's her name? Who's also in this?
Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she was pretty good too.
Katherine Heigl.
She was pretty good. She's also in it, but like, yeah, she was pretty good too.
Critics are saying Katherine Heigl was in this movie.
Critics are saying,
Can you believe it?
Katherine Heigl. What about her? They just said it.
What more do you need?
That's all you need to know.
It was their last words before she shot them.
So,
Katherine
anyway,
Heigl.
that's my first pick here. The rest are probably going to be ridiculous after this. Like, this one had at least merit. The rest don't count on it.
See, I have
Back
a
to you,
good list.
Prosser.
Alrighty. Do I get into one of the big ones that I think we'll all agree that this is one of the best movies that came out this year. I'm contemplating whether I want to start with that or start up with something I like that's like a
don't
guilty
care.
pleasure.
Do you care, Matt?
No, whatever you're feeling, man.
Yeah, just
Flow
pick,
as
man.
you go. Go
Okay.
as you flow. Flow to go, do
Flow to go, Bodo.
Yo.
So
Ooh, yeah, grandma. That's another thing from 14.
I would love to talk about
You?
what I consider to be probably the best, like, maybe not the best movie, but the best, like, Batman movie that has been released.
Batman and Robin.
Obviously.
Oh, wait, no, wait.
No, it's
Here
definitely...
comes Arnold again. Yes, everybody chill. Freeze in hell, Batman.
Chill out.
Chill out. He actually never says chill out in the movie. Funny enough.
He says
Probably
it in
not.
all of his other movies.
Yep, he says chill out in Terminator 2. Yeah, but never
But
says
not
chill
as
out.
Mr. Freeze.
how is
Missed
it?
opportunity.
He does
Missed
say everyone chill.
opportunity.
All right, everyone, chill.
So he does still say chill.
Chill out, though.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he says that word out at some point in that movie. So he does say it. There's just a long pause between the two
Cool
words.
party.
There's a long pause in between and multiple other words and scenes.
Also,
but
another
there's a pause.
another Arnold quote that would fit for Mr. Freeze, but was not in Batman and Robin is "Ice that guy, Kona phrase."
No one knows these references but you.
Yeah, no, I was like, I don't really know what you're talking about.
Last
that one.
Action Hero. We'll talk about it someday.
I haven't watched that
No,
one.
we're not. We're gonna specifically pick you not to be on that
How
podcast.
dare you?
We're gonna do a whole
Anyways,
podcast specifically on Last Action Hero and be like, but Prosser's not invited.
You should just do
We
what-
could just do an Arnold podcast
do an Arnold
and not
episode.
invite Prosser.
I'd be so mad. I'd be so angry. How could you not invite
And the whole
me?
podcast will be like, man, Prosser's gonna be so pissed. But anyway, keep talking about Arnold.
We'll decide to do an Arnold podcast to say how shit he is.
I mean, you said it. That's actually recorded now.
Oh, no.
We can actually edit. We can take that. We can edit it, and we can have that floating around where Prosser's saying
no.
that Arnold is the worst.
No.
He did say it. He is
Yeah,
quoted.
there's audio clips.
I've been ruined.
This was
Canceled.
a plan. This is the whole plan of the
Canceled, bro.
podcast.
You've been canceled.
Oh my god.
Matt, this is the whole reason we started this podcast. We can stop making it now because we
We
finally...
just trapped.
You finally have incriminating
Just
evidence.
just
You've
a
been-
year
We've been
long.
pretending to talk about movies
Just
for
over a
a full year. Just
Just
for
a
this.
trap process.
God
You've been
damn it.
dominated.
I just
You've been dominated.
I just wanted to talk about Batman Begins, and now I've been canceled.
Yes, because Batman
What a
Begins...
sad. What a
You've been
sad.
cancelled.
What a
No.
sad. You're
Because
fired.
like I would disagree with your thesis here, man, and I would say specifically that like it's the best Batman movie in the Nolan trilogy, but I wouldn't say it's the best Batman movie ever.
I don't know. Like, just for me, it's like as far as representing.
To be
Gotham
clear, we are
City-
talking about Batman's Begins.
We are talking about
Begins
Batman
and
Begins,
not
yes.
Batman and Robin. Just
Yes.
to
Yeah.
clarify, in case
Yep.
you missed us moving into that.
God.
I think I was pretty clear,
The conversation derailed so freaking fast.
but specifically,
Yeah, that's kind of usually how it
love it.
goes.
But I would say if you're looking for a film that does encompass Batman, I still think that the Keaton ones do that very well.
Where he's murdering people left and right.
I still think he murders people in Batman Begins.
In Batman Begins, they actually hold up pretty well to the not killing thing. Aside from the bullshit, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you. Like,
Yeah,
that's like the one thing where I'm just like, that's kind of a
That's
gray
an exception.
area
Okay,
Babs.
there, boy.
Oh, fine. You want to be picky then? Adam West, that movie held up as Batman. It's fine.
He kills people in that movie too.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, those people disappear.
No, but that's
They
because
pop out of
no,
existence.
but he
and
doesn't
die.
kill them. The dehydration process and then being rehydrated with heavy water is what killed them. And that was the Penguin. That was the Penguin's fault.
It seems to be.
Even actually, the Penguin kills several people because there's that other guy who gets like hit into like a springboarded like a Jack in the Box thing, and it launches into an exploding octopus. That's the Penguin's
Can
trap.
we just clarify something here? Because I know
Sure.
it's all about like Batman's like I don't murder people, and like every variation of Batman except like the Snyder Batman, he just murders people. He don't give
Where
a
he just
shit.
does not care.
But like all the
and
rest
then-
are like, we don't kill people. Like even in the Arkham games. But it's like, dude, you grab that guy's head and put it into a junction box, which electrocuted the shit.
Listen.
It's like there's no way that guy is still alive.
Listen,
Batman
listen,
says
in
I don't
the-
murder people, but then he unleashes
like, in the
crazy
Keaton
martial
movies,
arts
he never
on people.
says he does.
Yeah, in the
Breaking
Keaton
their
movie-
arms, like breaking their backs.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Listen,
oh, I just
Batman-
severely crippled them for life.
Listen,
It's like,
yeah,
nah,
no. Batman-
some of those people are dying, man. Some of those people are dying, and
Oh, yeah.
it's like you don't kill
Listen.
purposefully. But like, there's no way no one's dying from some of those
I don't
punches,
think
guy.
I don't think Batman kills anyone in the first Keaton movie.
No, he definitely does. Because he drops that bomb into the guy's pants and then he kicks him off a ledge.
No, that's in Batman Returns.
That's in Batman Returns?
That's in Returns, yeah.
Doesn't he shoot a guy with a Batmobile?
No.
Because the Batmobile's got guns on it. I am certain he kills the Joker.
No, the Joker falls. There's a difference. That was the reference in Dark Knight. When he caught him, he didn't catch him.
I could have
He didn't
sworn.
he didn't deliver a line about it.
Keaton definitely killed somebody in Batman.
Yeah, Michael Keaton specifically
Yes.
killed somebody, not the character.
That's more
It was
believable than
definitely just Michael Keaton. But to be fair, in that film, Michael Keaton did attach Joker's leg to a gargoyle, so that's also one of those
Yeah.
gray areas, right?
Yeah, but to be
That's
fair,
what happens in all those films. It's like I don't murder people, but then there's a couple gray areas
But he
where I
doesn't
kind of
stop
did. But
people from
look, we
dying.
we just won't
To-
count those. We
to
just
be
won't
fair-
count those.
To be fair, he also knocked Nolan's Batman knocked Harvey Dent off.
That's what I'm
early.
saying. Like,
Yes.
there's always situations where it's like kind of gray, kind of sketchy. But again, the fact that Batman's like unleashing hell on so many of these guys, it's like there's no way no one just accidentally didn't die. Like, you can punch someone in the right place in the head and kill them. Like, just as a regular
true.
human. Like, there's no way Batman, with all the people he cracks down on, has not just accidentally, like, killed a bloke. Like,
But that's what I
once
mean.
again,
I'm saying
like,
in Batman
he- like-
Begins, it's probably the same thing.
Like,
That's what
Batman
I'm
will
saying.
beat someone. Batman will beat someone within an inch of their life, cripple them, all that, but he didn't murder them, just so we're clear.
Actually, there's specific comics where he even refuses to cripple people.
That's definitely not a. By the time
that
we get
should
to the
really
Arkham
be added
games,
to his list. But that's what I'm saying. Like, in the Arkham games, there's
I
no
also
way
don't
people
cripple
don't die.
people.
The Arkham games are ridiculous, and they are a game, but there's
Well, it's the
no way
same-
people don't die.
It's the same
It's
thing
like-
for Spider-Man PS4 though. Like it's very much like
Well, they
you
get-
knock people off roofs on a regular basis.
No,
but-
we talked about this already,
the-
Ethan.
yeah, the drones.
Spider-Man. No,
They-
no.
Look.
Spider-Man. He sticks the little web shooty thing, so they stick to
Yeah.
the wall. They specifically made a thing where so he's
Then
not.
it doesn't
just
work
kicking
on
people
mine
off
because I have
buildings.
seen people fall to their deaths and not land on a wall.
Maybe there was no wall around. I don't know.
It's
no,
possible.
but that happens. Like that's coded to happen. If it doesn't happen,
But
it's
it's-
probably a glitch.
It's one of those things of like I think like as important as that is, I think like saying that that's what makes or breaks Batman.
No, it's just
like
I thought it was like again, it's a fun
think-
thing to bring up.
I think
like,
it's a good point, but at the end of the day, I still stand by like yes, it's a good Batman film and it is the best in the Nolan trilogy, but I don't think it's nearly as good of a Batman film as some of the other ones that we have gotten, including animated ones. all that
well,
kind of
like
stuff,
obviously, like if we're including the animated ones, like it's hard to argue with stuff like.
I think
Mask
you
of the
got to do live
Phantasm,
action. Yeah, I think you got to
Yeah.
just do live action if you're talking about
or
it.
like Under the Red Hood is another fantastic one.
apples
It's
to
animated.
apples.
for all we know, we're gonna get completely thrown off when the Batman comes out too.
Yeah, like God, I'm excited for that movie. Like I got high hopes for it. Matt Reeves is an amazing director. Like
It's so bad because anytime he gets excited for a movie, and this is my best friend, I love this man. But anytime he's like, I'm really excited for this movie, there's always just a thought in my head. I'm like, I hope it's terrible and that you hate it, and I don't know why. I have no clue
You
why.
probably because you're a
most-
terrible person.
the most
That
recent
just
example
seems to
of
be
this
the most.
was The Predator.
And it was.
Yep, and then it was a just dumpster fire.
oh my god, that movie.
Like here's like I enjoy that movie in the same way that I enjoy the 90s comic books of Predator, because those comics just like they did not give a shit about logic and they just did ridiculous over the top stuff. And like that's what The Predator was. It was a ridiculous over the top kind of dumb movie, and I enjoy it for that reason. But definitely not as good as like even I would say not as good as Predators, definitely not as good as the first two. But anyways,
So back to Batman.
you know who you know who fought the Predator one time in the comics? Batman.
I just don't want to spend a lot of time talking about an okay movie.
How dare you?
Who's
no,
quite
Batman
a good movie.
Begins. Batman Begins literally like it is like it shows the beginning of Batman. It tells that like
What?
yeah, I know, right? But it tells that like lead up to oh my god, it's such a monster.
He is, but wouldn't it be
Oh,
funny
Jesse,
if it
come
was?
on the podcast. Oh, it'll be
Would
fun. Oh, I'm not gonna let you talk though. Oh, that's
Would it
okay.
be funny if it was called Batman Begins and it was literally about like the middle of his life? Everyone's like, "What is going on here?" I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
like,
that one
it's
day.
Batman Begins, but then they tell the Dark Knight Returns story. Like what?
Batman Begins,
He's like 50
again.
He's like 50. It's like he's like 50 years old. What are they talking about?
Anywho,
It's like apparently, yeah, but no. It's like apparently in that like the Michael Keaton movie, like Adam West kept like really wanting them to cast him in it, and it's like, come on, man, you're like 60 years old. But no, like this is the movie that like to me it had the best looking Gotham City. Like just from an art design perspective, like the city looked like Gotham. Had fantastic performances in it. I really enjoy Christian Bale's evolution into like, because we see like the true Bruce Wayne in this one. Like when he's growing up, you see like the murder of the Waynes, of course, and like you see him going through his life and then eventually making the decision to like travel the world and like start the process of becoming Batman. Michael Keaton's fantastic in it.
Michael Keaton.
yeah, I was-
Yeah, but we're talking about Michael Keaton, Michael Caine, who is like,
oh, you're talking about Alfred. I was like, bro, he also is not Batman.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh yeah, he was Alfred.
Yeah.
though.
but no, like Michael Caine as Alfred, who, in my opinion, this is the best he had, like in all three movies. I think this is the best one of him because not his entire dialogue isn't just made up of speeches, and he actually has some like really good quips.
Fair enough.
For
Fair
Bruce, because like to me, like some of my favorite interactions.
Point of all those push-ups. If
What's
you can't
the
lift up
point
a-
of all those push-ups? You can't lift a bloody
bloody
log.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Like, and to me, like some of the best Alfred dialogue is when he's kind of giving Bruce shit and being like, come on, man. Like, but like he's always supportive regardless, because like
until the Dark Knight Rises.
until
where
Dark
he's
Knight
like,
Rises, so he's
I'm
like,
gonna leave now.
well, I'll give up now.
I'm not gonna watch you put yourself in the grave like your parents did by going to the opera.
Yeah, Jesus.
I feel like Alfred in that trilogy is like the most flip-floppy dude ever. Because in the first one, he was like, oh, I don't want you to be Batman, but I'll still support you. In the second one, he's like, I'm gonna give up being Batman. He's like, you can't give up being Batman. And in the
city
third one,
needs
he's like,
you.
I'm gonna be Batman again. He's like hell, I'm leaving. I'm like, make up your effing mind. Do you
give
want
up.
him to be Batman or not? Like,
And
do you
then-
believe in it or not?
And then he
man?
comes back at the end. He's like, "I've failed you." It's like, well, then maybe you shouldn't have fucking left, Alfred.
I'm gonna go and wait at this one cafe until you
This
show
very
up.
I'm gonna
specific
sit there
cafe.
and I'll look across the table. Maybe you're there, maybe you're not, and we'll look at each other.
wonder-
and then I'm going to
I wonder
leave.
how long. I wonder
Without
how
even
long.
ordering a tangerine.
I wonder.
I'm not going to pay my bill because you know what? You'll pay for it. You're the rich one.
I wonder how long Bruce Wayne had to stalk him to make sure he was gonna be at that freaking cafe.
Well, that's the thing, like, because Alfred doesn't tell him which cafe it is, or no, does he? Does he tell him where the cafe is?
He gives him like a rough location, but not like specific.
Yeah.
There are several cafes in Paris.
And again,
By the river.
Bruce, that would mean Bruce would. That means Bruce would have to like kind of wait at that cafe, approximately whatever time he thinks Alfred will show up every single day. Probably annoying the hell out of Selena. She's like, "Can we go see the sights for once? For God's sake, no! This is important."
But again, no one recognized billionaire Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one to swallow too.
God damn
Yeah.
it.
the paparazzi wasn't like, oh my gosh, Bruce Wayne, what are you doing here? You're the most well-known person.
Like it'd be different if he had like a freaking huge beard or like a wig or like something. But it's like, no, just clean shaven Bruce
Or a
Wayne just hanging out.
hat, like.
At least do the MCU
Maybe-
thing when you put on a cap and you're just invisible to everyone
Maybe
else.
wearing a disguise of some kind.
Yeah.
Not to mention international jewel thief Selena Kyle. But you know. Anyways, Batman Begins I think is a really good movie.
Yeah, I
And,
really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah,
Well,
like the only
and you got
only
Liam
real-
Neeson and Cillian Murphy too.
Scarecrow, like which I like that version of Scarecrow.
yeah, it's okay.
I just like the actor more or less, but I don't.
no,
I
he's
don't like his
amazing.
American accent. Like,
Yeah, it is a little
I,
weird.
I like hearing the
Cillian
I like
Murphy.
hearing like the Irish accent that he's got there. It's very distinct.
Yeah.
I wish he was more unhinged. That's kind of my problem with it. For a crazy man, he's very calm.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
It's like we never really got like
Jonathan Crane.
Yeah.
We never got Scarecrow. We got like Burlap Sack Man. And
Yeah.
that was basically it. Oh, but he's in a
Sack
straitjacket.
Man.
But he
Yeah.
got tasered in the
Da-da-da-da-da.
face, guys, and he just kept coming back.
And then he didn't.
he
Yeah.
just kept coming
Or
And
back.
that
the same,
cameo man.
He didn't even like. The thing is, too, is his costume never really evolved. Like I think they added some like a little bit of like hay to one of his suits one time,
Yeah, I think that was in The Dark Knight they did.
and like,
And
but,
again-
like his costume never really changed or evolved into the Scarecrow. It's just like, I'm just a guy who puts on a burlap sack and talks weird.
Well, and again, like
Fear me.
it's one of those things where like, you know, maybe they shouldn't have killed Harvey Dent because like it would have made way more sense. It would have been way more thematic if like you had Harvey being the judge in The Dark Knight Rises instead of Jonathan
Well,
Crane.
I think one of the things too, like, and this is just my own speculation. It's like clearly they were gonna continue to use Heath Ledger's Joker. That clearly was the plan until he died just before the movie came out, roughly, right? Or like, so I think that kind of like changed their plans and how they did things because it did take them a considerable
100%.
while longer in between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, like 2008 to 2012.
Yeah, so it's
It was
4
4
years.
years.
2005.
2005
Oh,
to
you're right.
2007.
Never mind. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Similar
It
length.
felt much
Um,
longer. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But it's like, for me,
I'm
it's-
like, yeah, we're talking about 2005. Actually, you're right.
a lot of the ways they handled the villains in the series kind of bugged me.
I honestly
Like, just
actually
kind of
like the way they handled most of them, but that's my own opinion.
like, but like aside from the Joker, because again, like the Joker's not one that bugged me.
it's a great performance.
The hype bugged me, but the Joker himself was a fantastic performance. The amount of hype around him was a little odd. But I mean, also, I think I can't say that it. No, I can't even say like, oh, it's like I can't even say that it's because he passed, because like no,
No,
that performance was great regardless.
100%, man.
But Scarecrow, I think they could have gone a bit further with and could have pushed continuously.
Yep.
And is it Roz or Raish in this movie?
They say
It's
Ra's
Roz
al
in this
Ghul,
one, yeah. It's
even though it should be
Raish.
Ra's al
Yeah.
Ghul.
But he was all right, but it was still really weird. Like how they handled him was really weird. I like Liam Neeson. I love Liam Neeson.
Yep.
But it was really, again, his character arc was really odd. And I feel like I'm forgetting about a villain.
Well, there's Falcone.
No one cares about him. No one cares about the mobsters.
They've been all fine because it's pretty standard fare.
Yep. And I will say that, like, in my opinion, Rachel
yeah.
definitely, like, even though she's like, she feels like a bit more of a plot device in The Dark Knight, I think the performance is a lot stronger with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I think Katie Holmes was all right.
Like,
but
Katie Holmes isn't bad by any means, but I think, like, they definitely wrote her a lot stronger in The Dark Knight. Like, and I'm like, Katie Holmes definitely could have played that version as well, but I think writing wise, I think she was stronger in The Dark Knight. And then the only other thing I would say, like, could have been better, but this is just like, I'm a big action guy, and they really could have done the actual fight sequences with Batman.
the problem is though is that the cinematography that was going on for fights when that came out was that was kind of the rage, was the shaky cam,
Like,
and like you don't
the
really...
very, like, Bourne Identity.
I saw it in IMAX and it was not a good experience.
Yeah.
Because
too
it's like,
big,
what's
yeah.
going on? The camera's moving too much and the screen is way too big.
Well, like, to me, it's like, to me, there was too much close-up shaky cam in the first one, and then to me, like, Dark Knight definitely got better, but then, like, to me, Rises definitely went, like, the opposite direction now, where, like, it's almost, like, too
There's no
wide,
movement.
where there's, like, no movement, and you can really see that, like, these two guys really,
Fought with their elbows.
yes. And the fight choreography was less impressive because of that. So, like, really, Dark Knight to me kind of, like, split the difference pretty well overall. Like, but overall, I really enjoy Batman Begins, and of those three movies, it's the one that I like revisiting.
I like how
the
we're
most,
like
just
really
'cause
critical
I
about
really
them. We're
like
like,
the
yeah,
story
we
and how
like
they
this
did the
one. I'm like,
The-
wait,
the
did we
only-
just spend the whole time bashing what they could have done better? And that, but that doesn't make us like blind fans, right? Like that's the good thing because it's like I honestly love the trilogy as a whole. I really enjoy it. I think Dark Knight's the best one. I think, I kind of agree with you. Like artistically and aesthetically, I really like Batman Begins as well. Just the art style and stuff, how they went with like the city and the design. That was like a big disappointment for me in Dark Knight. That was like the one thing in Dark Knight for me that was like, really, I really liked that other style of Gotham. And I like, exactly, right? Kind of like the way
like that
Gotham
more,
is generally
the Art
presented.
Deco style, you know?
But like overall, like I really enjoy the trilogy, and there's definitely has its problems, but I really think Batman Begins is really one of the strong, like obviously one of the stronger ones. Whether you think it's if you said it was the best one of the trilogy or the second best, like I'd be like
100%.
fair enough. Like I wouldn't argue with you, like because there's gonna be some things that work better for people with that Batman Begins. If you say it's the worst, I'm gonna definitely be like that's
say it's the
questionable at
worst.
best. Because like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Dark Knight Rises was still the worst, and I really like Dark Knight Rises too. But I can say when I was watching it, I was like, I just want to see Batman, guys. Quit bringing Batman back for 10 seconds and him getting his at like whatever. Like, so that film had problems to me. Whereas I really enjoyed Bane. It was just like, and I like what they did with him. And it was just like, because I love doing the impression, man. Like the impression's killer. I freaking love it.
This is going to be incredibly painful for you.
Like, exactly. Like,
can't
and
understand
I found it fine.
What
Like,
are
it
you
didn't-
saying?
But I really enjoyed Bane. But there was things in that film that I was like, couldn't we told the
I think the
story
voice-
in a little
the voice effect
different
was too
way?
thick.
It was just kind of. It lacked the Batman in the Dark Knight part, like, but
Shipping him off to
Batman
a well
Begins,
somewhere.
really enjoyable film, really.
Well, and again,
Oh.
it's weird because, like, yeah. Again,
I think
I like it.
honestly, my main complaint at the end of the day with it is just like the only thing that still bugs me, like actually bugs me, is the whole like Batman being afraid of bats from when he was a kid, and that's why he chose to be Batman, and that bugs me still. Like that's always something that's just gonna sit weird with me, where it's like because he was traumatized by bats as a child, that is why he chose this form, and it's like no, a bat start in the in the comics, and I know it's up for artistic interpretation. In the comics, a bat startles him, and he realizes, oh, that's a striking image. That like if someone sees a giant that thing coming at you,
Like because
that's gonna terrify
because the
you.
original like origin comic, it's like it's a bat that flies through his window, right?
Yeah,
when he's an adult.
That's basically the accepted origin.
Which
is that like
and they actually like they bring back that imagery in Dark Knight Returns, the comic, when he like becomes Batman again, like the bat, except it's like much larger and more monstrous.
They use that imagery a lot, like in a lot of comics, even in some deleted scenes in Batman Forever.
There's the giant bat. You know.
And this one, it was really weird that it's like he was swarmed by bats, and that inspired when he was a child, and that inspired him to take on that form years later. And it's like, I understand what they were trying to get at. It just didn't. It just confused me, and I guess maybe it's about overcoming.
Well,
your
that
fear,
whole movie was
like,
based on using
Well,
your
well,
using your fears
like,
and turning them
but I
on the
feel like
enemy. Like
taking
that
ownership.
was like there was the whole reason Scarecrow was there. There was the whole League of Shadow. Like that whole movie was based around fear, right? Like it really was.
I guess Batman. I guess Batman couldn't have killed. I guess Batman couldn't have killed Scarecrow's parents, could he have?
Exactly. Like, and
be honest,
honestly, that
real
part
fair.
didn't bug me at all.
We
Like,
all
it didn't
know
even phase
Craig
me.
killed his
I was like,
parents.
no, that makes sense to me. Like, a bat is striking to him, so he's like, why wouldn't it be striking to others? Like, scared the shit out of me.
Well, and I cannot remember where I heard this from, but like in because in Batman v Superman, and then like we'll get off of Batman here in a second, and we'll move on to other things. But like in Batman v Superman, I can't remember where I like heard this, but in that scene when like the bats swarm him when he's in the well and like he ascends, wouldn't it have been so much cooler if like they swarmed him and then like dragged him into the shadows? Wouldn't that have been? That would have been so much.
Oh, I thought we
cooler
were
and
still talking about
thematic.
Batman
what?
Begins.
For
I was like,
Batman v
why
Superman?
would
In
that?
Batman v Superman, instead of him like, oh no, not Batman Begins, but like specifically for like how stylized that whole thing was and what they were trying to say about Batman, him being like
I don't even know
dragged
what scene
into
you're
the
talking
shadows
about.
by the bats would have been so much cooler.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When he's like a kid and they like after burying the Waynes and he falls into the well and he's like swarmed by the bats.
I guess it's that opening montage.
Dude,
It's the opening montage.
I'm sorry, I
someone
wanted to
didn't
talk about good
didn't
movies,
his parents
and
go
you're
on
bringing
the
up this.
tomb
But no, I was like,
wasn't that the beginning or no?
no, that's later in the movie when he visits their tomb and then like a monster pops out of the tomb and like scares him. That movie's weird. Anyways,
No, but and the whole reason we had that scene in Batman Begins when he found the thing was to
To
have
pick
that
ourselves back up again.
mantra of why did we fall?
one
So
that's
we
it.
could-
That's
Yeah, it's a good
Well,
message
again,
though.
As he's
Another-
getting helped up.
but again, like I like, yeah, and I like that beginning of that movie because we actually like
Just
got
not
to kind of
insta
meet
death.
Thomas and Martha like before they're shot. Like we had, yeah,
Yeah, their characters. I mean, we met Thomas. I don't think we ever got to know Martha at all. Why did you say that name?
Anyway,
I should. Why did you say that there?
But also, like, all joking
Yeah.
aside, like, it is one of the stronger Batman movies to come out in the last
15 years
10
ago,
years.
100%.
20 years? How long ago was it? It was a while. 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. I would say so. Yes.
I don't like to think about that. Let's
Yeah.
move on. Anyway,
Yeah.
on to the next
Anyway.
15-year-old movie.
so
16-year-old
all right, Ethan. Yeah, what's your next pick, buddy?
Yeah. What's your next pick, Ethan?
Eenie, meenie, mighty. I'm just trying.
Well,
to think, 'cause I don't
here's
think
what
we wanna-
I'm
I don't think
thinking,
we
and
wanna
just
go
so
for all
everyone
13 of
listening
my
knows,
movies.
I don't think we'll make it through all our lists doing deep dives. Like we'll do yours, we'll do one for me, and then I think we just power through, do like quick run throughs of the rest of our list, kind of thing, and then wrap it up with a question of the day. But yeah, so we'll do
Sounds good.
your next film here though.
Okay. Well, because I think so. I'll go with like my top film, like, and I kind of like. There's a part of me which is I would have talked about a few of the other ones too, but like my top film when I really look at this list and really think about it, honestly, has to be The
Yeah.
Producers. Like,
Ooh.
I absolutely love that movie. I absolutely love that musical. It is so good.
Not the one I was expecting.
That is also probably one of my comfort movies, too. Because it's one that I love all the jokes. The jokes are tight in it. The music is tight in it.
Right.
If I could be in one musical, that would be my pick to be in a musical. Like, it's so good. It's a good interpretation of a stage play, too. It's a good remake of the original, like, easily hands down, probably my favorite movie of 2005.
Is that the one where they're trying to
Nice.
produce like a terrible film?
Yeah, no, the producers
Because
is
it'll make
pretty
more money
fantastic.
being a flop than it will, or they'll make more profit.
Yeah.
How's that working?
They have
Well,
to.
terrible
So
plan.
they have to. So yeah. So basically, there's a producer who used to produce a lot of really great shows, and suddenly he becomes a failure. And while an accountant is doing his books, he realizes, oh well, like, you actually spent more money, or you accepted more money than you spent. But your backers aren't going to care because the show was a flop. And then he postulates the question
Right.
of like, oh, I think you could technically make more money with a flop than with a hit. And this producer takes that and is like, we can do what now? And then he explains the idea, and basically it's no one investigates a flop. No one investigates if a movie or a theater production in this one would make a flop. So they go out to make the worst play ever written. Go with one called Springtime for Hitler, about how great Hitler in Germany is.
Yeah.
And it's a smash hit because it's seen as a comedy.
Oh,
And
it's,
like it's just so well thought out. It's just so Mel Brooks he's a genius. He's an amazing man. I absolutely love him. I love everything that he touches. And he just knocked this out of the park. The original one is really fun too, because it was his first big movie direction thing. Was it his first or was it his second? I think it was his first. Or his 12 Chairs. I don't remember. Either way, it's one of his first ones. It's just really well done, but this remake and this musical just, like, absolutely nailed it and just made it that much better.
Nice.
Just so good. It's just so good. And again,
Cool.
it
Yeah.
makes me
No.
feel great.
I think I seen it probably like when it came out, roughly around there. But yeah, no, it's definitely one I haven't seen for a really, really long time. I'm like struggling to like remember. I'm like, man, maybe it's just one I have to sit down and
Still
watch
holds
again.
up.
It's definitely one of those for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. You need to.
it's a solid movie. Like,
It's also, if I need to explain to someone how I am, that any of his films will do.
This
but,
is
like,
why-
that's one of
yeah,
the big
this is
ones that
why
show
I
people. It's
am
like, you don't
the way
understand who
I am.
Watch this
This is
movie,
why I am
and now
the
you'll
way
get
I
it.
am.
And it's the same thing with all of his movies, but that one specifically, because that was one of the big. Not
God,
the first one that I
love
saw. That would be Spaceballs, but it was one of the first things that I
Man.
watched getting into him. Again, man, everything I can go on a whole rant.
We're
about
combing
Mel
the
Brooks, but I
desert.
just feel like that's not.
Have
this
you
is not
found
the time or the
anything?
place.
We found shit. Like, just love that part.
we
We
ain't seen
found
shit.
Pizza the Hut, who ate himself to death. In other news, fucking Spaceballs, man.
I don't know. I think Bill Murray ate him. I think it's Vinny the Robot who ate him. That's
You have your
I feel like
conspiracy
it's a
theory.
frame job.
Like,
I
he's like,
never
I'm deep
confirmed
down
it,
the
though.
rabbit hole of Pizza the Hut's death, man.
I do. Well, no, because there's that scene, like the first scene when he shows up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Vinny starts eating him, like his robot assistant. It's like he's like after the whole like or pizza will order.
And he's
out
like
for
pulling
you.
pieces
And
off.
then, like
of,
he starts like they start laughing about it, and then he starts eating him, and he's like, "You're delicious." And then the next thing we hear is that he ate himself to death. And like, did he, or did the robot, or the man clearly dressed up as a
He
robot?
has
Because why would a
taste
robot know what
receptors.
delicious is? No
Film-
one would believe it. It's a perfect crime.
Film
it's the
theory,
perfect
get
crime.
on it.
genius.
I don't think Matt Pat listens to our podcast. It's his, we're his guilty pleasures, dirty secret. He doesn't tell anybody.
Oh my god. What the hell, man?
Who, me?
No, film theory guy, Matt Pat.
It's a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Have you never watched Film Theory?
You,
I have
you would
not,
dig
no.
it.
Oh, you should watch the Film Theory, and they do games too. Game Theory.
Man, I got so many like YouTube channels. I'm like, I gotta start thinning this out, man. Too many things popping up.
Thin this out like people's hair.
Indeed. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay, so like my film that I want to talk about next, it won't take super long because
We've never seen it.
I haven't seen it like a really long time, but I thought it was just like hilarious and funny and like anyway, it's like this is one of those things where it's just like, what were you like at 14? It's like if I could show you this film, you'd be like, oh, you're one of those guys. Okay, I get what you're talking about. And that was X State of the Union.
Oh Jesus!
Have you guys seen
I've never
that
seen.
movie?
I've never seen
my
any Triple X
God,
movies.
Oh my god!
Oh,
So okay, so
Christ.
I didn't like the first X, like, and I didn't like. I think they even did a third one. Like for whatever reason, Vin Diesel and X never worked for me. I'm like, I don't care. You put Ice Cube as
Cube.
X, man.
Ice
I'm just
Cube.
like, hell yeah, Ice Cube and Samuel
I think
Jackson. Let's
you-
go, let's go.
I want to say that this year
And they
was
had
also...
like dope music, man. It was like fight the power. They had that like sick cover at the end. I was like, hell yeah! I loved State of the Union. It was.
I mean, I'm of course partial to X because Rammstein cameos in it. So
But I think it
I've
also
never
had like
seen any of
the Pimp My Ride guy. Right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think Exhibit, is that what his name was? I'm
if
trying
I
to
recall
remember.
correctly, yes.
Hit
I
my ride.
wouldn't know.
But honestly, I couldn't tell you what the movie's about. And then Ice Cube obviously meets Samuel L. Jackson and like gets
So-
brought into the secret government agency thing that he's operating. And becomes the new X and gets a tattoo of X's on the back of his neck. That's pretty much it. But
Remember how you were saying that 2005 was like the year of Ewan McGregor?
yeah.
Ice Cube hadn't beat by one film. He was in 4 movies that year.
Oh, that's not even surprising, guy. Ice Cube was like really big at that
man.
time. He was like
Are we
freaking
there yet?
everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely preferred his performance in Are We There Yet?
I don't know, man. X State of the Union was
I've never,
pretty dope.
Matt, I've never seen it. I've only
Honestly, if
seen
I
Are We
find,
There
I'm gonna
Yet?
go. I'm gonna see if it's on any of the streaming services, and I'll text you and let you know because this is one I have
I'll
to
just
watch
choose-
again because I remember. Like, there's certain scenes that pop into my head that I was just like, oh, hell yeah, man, that was dope as shit.
Like,
and
the
but then, like, the
XXX
whole rest of the
movies-
movie, I'm just like, I have no idea what happens in that movie. Other
Man,
than it has something to do at the end with the State of the Union. And I'm pretty sure they drive a tank around Washington. But I'm not even 100% sure about that. But it's like, or Exhibit pimps out a tank, maybe. I don't know.
Like,
it was
here's
really
the-
one of those, like, black gangster, like, oh, now I'm a CIA agent.
it-
It was so ridiculous.
You are
Is
the
it-
only man on the planet who I've ever heard be like, man, State of the Union, clearly the superior movie in the X franchise.
So like,
You're the only
Like
human being.
I really did not like the other X. Like I could care less. Like
Fair
I could
enough.
care less. But then I was like, because only the first one was out at the time, obviously. And then, like,
Yeah, of
it was,
course.
like Ice Cube, I was like, I'm in. Let's do it, baby. Woo! Ice Cube
like-
Exhibit, Samuel L. Jackson. Sounds like it's gonna be a ball of flick, boys. Let's do it.
Yeah, why not?
does X have to do anything with like extreme sports too, or
Well, that's
or am
the
I just,
first
like-
one, right? Because
Yeah, the first one
Vin
like,
Diesel's
is the
character
most
is like an extreme sports guy.
Is
Triple
it
X-
like? Oh wait, is it like Fast and the Furious, but like
like
with X
extreme
Games and
sports
stuff?
Yeah, kind of.
That's
Honestly.
hilarious. That's the
then-
worst premise I've ever heard.
But then Ice Cube's character isn't like an extreme sports guy. I can't remember like how it didn't even make sense like why you would pick this guy.
Yeah, like
I'm sure the
honestly,
movie
it's
explains
his-
it, but I can't
it's his
remember. I just thought it
personality.
was so fun. No, that's exactly what it was. It's like you have the
State of the
personality
Union
to be a secret
completely
agent.
betrays the premise of the franchise.
Like I just like it really like I'm sure a lot of people hate it, but
But
I was
Triple
like,
X is, like, the
hell
most-
yeah, man.
X is the most like early 2000s like movie ever.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just-
I freaking love extreme movies. Like they're my favorite thing. It's just extreme everything.
like it's so extreme. It's
why I like-
Triple X.
It's just ridiculous.
That's why I also love like 90s and 2000s, early 2000s commercials because everything was just like, whoa, man, everything's crazy. Try this
no.
juice that we're releasing.
But no.
Oh, Capri Sun. like
Fucking Sunripe or something.
no, like
yeah, like
What's that? What was that? What's the yellow one? It's not Sunripe. It's like
the Sunny
freaking-
D.
Sunny Sunny D, man.
Yeah, man, Sunny D, it's crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
they're like, "Do you want a juice box?" And those kids are like, "Fuck that juice box! Give me some Sunny D!" And then they're just freaking
Give
out.
me some orange juice mixed with perfume. Yeah.
Sunny D.
Like,
And it worked because as a kid, I was like, "Where's that Sunny D at? Let's go."
I mean, like, honestly, as an adult, I still go to Sunny D sometimes. I'm like, I want to taste terribleness, and
I
enjoy
it forever.
it.
Is it still out there?
Oh yeah, man.
It still exists.
I guess I haven't seen commercials or anything, but like, shit, man, those commercials back in the day for Sunny D were so funny.
Oh yeah.
I loved it. Anyway, that's one of my best films of 2000. I don't remember. I actually have a lot 2005. I actually have a lot of films on here that are on my best list that I just do not remember the plot, but I remember that I really enjoyed.
You remember the
watching it at the end
feeling
of the
of
day.
watching.
Yeah,
the
that's
movie.
exactly it. It's like I do not remember the plot of some of these things, but like I remember being like, hell yeah. And State of the Union was just so. I think it was so the thing that was so funny because I think it was just so ridiculous. Like it was such a ridiculous concept, but.
Hey, movies
I don't
don't have
know.
to make
It
sense,
worked
they
for
just
me.
have-
It was pretty funny.
They just have to be entertaining, man.
Yep, I was definitely entertained. So go check it out, or don't. I don't know. I honestly not even sure if I should recommend it, but it was fun when I was 14. That's about as much as I can say. My review: when I was 14, I really enjoyed this film. So
As
that
an adult,
tells you.
I couldn't tell you.
I have no clue. Anyway, okay, so let's go into Prosser here, and we'll just kind of quick fire through
Yeah.
the rest of your list. Then we'll quick fire through yours, Ethan. Quick fire through mine. Head to the question of the day. So go ahead, buddy.
Today.
Rock and roll.
Sounds good, man.
Rock
So
and
yeah,
roll.
like the rest of the movies on this list, and again, I could have basically could
We
have
could
made
deep dive into all of them.
Oh,
basically.
100%, man. But a lot of the ones that I really love from 2005. Hard Candy. It's another one of those probably one of the most intense horror movies that I have watched in a really long time. It is a deeply uncomfortable film. Elliot Page
It's Elliot
now.
Page. Yeah.
And
Patrick
Wilson star in it, and just both phenomenal performances. And the movie shifts between who the protagonist and the antagonist
Who
is.
the Predator is.
Yeah, multiple times, and
gonna
it is
Google this. I've
so
never heard
perfectly
of this film.
executed.
It's definitely an indie. It's an indie horror film.
Yeah, it's
And-
literally it's two actors in one house, and it is one of the most intense movies that you
Basically-
will watch.
Basically, it's a 14-year-old girl lures a child predator to his house and then proceeds to kidnap him and torture him.
Wow. So it's literally To Catch a Predator.
Yeah, but worse,
the
but
kid's
better.
I'm just gonna murder you.
Because
Yeah.
because and the movie shifts because there are points in time when you're
You don't know why she's doing it or anything.
yeah, and you also whether or not he actually is a predator or not, or whether it's a complete fabrication or what is happening, and then it shifts to oh no, maybe he is, and
it's a trap.
it is
Sandra
one of the
Oh's
most
in
I
this
couldn't
film?
I
Yeah.
couldn't finish it actually.
it is a deeply uncomfortable film, but it is very well done.
I actually like
yeah.
Patrick Wilson. He's actually
Oh,
cool.
he's amazing.
Patrick Wilson is a damn good actor.
He's never in any high profile films. He's in the Conjuring ones, but and those are arguably
Aquaman.
Aquaman,
high profile,
Watchmen.
Well, yeah, Watchmen, but where else do you see this guy pop up all the time, right? He's
Phantom of
usually in
the
these
Opera.
ones that
Phantom
are
of the Opera.
they're hidden gems, man. They're hidden gems.
Patrick
the majority
Wilson,
of his films are
his-
hidden gems.
He has he has the brief cameo in Prometheus, and he's amazing in that brief cameo as well. Patrick Wilson has a wonderful career.
A-Team.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in the A-Team, isn't he?
Yep.
It looks like Hulk.
I'm a fan of Patrick Wilson.
He's just a great actor. He should have been Peter Wayland.
Should have been a lot of things.
But anyways, yes. So Hard Candy, fantastic movie. The Island came out this year, and in my opinion, is easily one of Michael Bay's actually great movies, and it's probably the one that nobody talks about. But it's a pretty solid, kind of fun science fiction premise. Again, Ewan McGregor is in it, and is it Scarlett Johansson's in it? Yeah,
It's ScarJo, yeah.
yeah. And just a really cool premise for a film, solid action sequences, actual good filmmaking going on, Michael Bay hadn't completely lost his marbles.
You gonna tell people what the movie is, or you just gonna hype it up?
No, he did
Based-
say it. He did
Oh.
say it.
I zoned out apparently.
Yeah,
Clearly.
but no,
I'm like,
like,
no,
I
he
heard, like-
definitely said The Island.
No, I heard like the next film on my list, and then he starts listing off all the great things about it, and I did not hear The Island at
yeah, no,
all.
yeah, the
Yeah, no,
island,
I caught that
which,
part.
like,
Yeah, no.
yeah, no,
I,
like,
I agree with you.
You
I
should
really
edit out
liked
him
The
saying
Island.
it just so we can have.
but like really, but like essentially, it's like Logan's Run by way of like
It's
early
it's,
2000s action filmmaking, and
'cause-
like
is it one I showed you? I
I
think
definitely saw the island before I met you.
there was a conversation around that in Logan's Run because like I don't know. I've shown you. I know I showed you Logan's Run for sure
Yeah,
because that was one you had no idea about. But like straight up, like it is the only Michael Bay film I'll actually recommend to people. Mm-hmm. Like
well, I recommend The Rock all the time. Like,
never seen it.
yeah, dude, so good.
I always get confused
I
because The Rock
agree.
isn't in it.
Yeah, I love The Rock. The movie.
No. Oh yes,
But like
and the actor.
But like, no, it's a really good sci-fi action film, and it's really messed up, and it's got all those Bayisms in it, but it doesn't hit the same way.
yeah, like they're used sparingly, and like it's just a really like, in my opinion, it's a very effective action film and like a pretty damn effective like sci-fi premise. So
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
so The Island is really good. Land of the Dead. The last really great George Romero zombie movie, in my opinion. It is not as good as Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead, but in my opinion, it is one of the best zombie movies that, like, still one of the better zombie movies that exists, and, like, still continues the themes of that original trilogy. It's got, like, John Leguizamo in it, Dennis Hopper, like, just a really...
The Mentalist.
The Mentalist is the lead of the movie. I can never remember the guy's name, but he's really good in it too. But just like, it has a lot of fun. It's got to be like one of the, I don't know if it's one of the earliest examples of like smart zombies, but again, it kind of carries that theme forward from
I
Day
mean,
of
Return
the
of
Dead.
the Living Dead would be that.
Return of the Living Dead, definitely the earliest example. Kind of coming full circle there, weirdly enough. But like, it's a really solid zombie movie in my opinion.
Nice.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's really weird because like it came out a year after the Dawn of the Dead remake, and people are like, "Oh my god, is it a sequel to Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead?" It's like, no, it's kind of a sequel to the original Dawn of the Dead. Anyway,
It's actually specifically like, if you look at that series, it is. If Day of the Dead is a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, then yes, it is a direct sequel, because there's a through line for zombie intelligence through those
yeah.
three.
Well, even Tom Savini's biker
Yep.
shows up as a zombie, and that like he was in Dawn of the Dead, and then he shows up as a zombie as that exact character in Land of the Dead.
Well, and like that's the thing is George Romero's vision for that arc, and that's also where like Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead get muddy. Mm-hmm. The idea of that arc was that it wasn't specifically to take place in any specific time period, that it could happen in any time period.
Yeah.
Just technology evolves oddly, but they're all supposed to happen within the same like few years of each other. It's a weird franchise to
Right.
look into, but like it's super worth doing
Yeah.
the journey if you don't mind zombie films.
No, exactly. And then the last couple I'm gonna mention here, Lord of War, that in my opinion, one of Nick Cage's best movies. Just a really solid dramatic piece. God, that's one I haven't watched in a really long time, but like Lord of War is fantastic. Serenity, of course, the follow up to Firefly, which definitely got a hell of a fan base there. Nathan Fillion, obviously a massive fan favorite. Just a really solid sci-fi adventure that has incredibly sad moments if you're a fan of those characters.
It's very mixed.
Yeah, but it's a fun time in my opinion. Like very, very fun movie to watch. V for Vendetta, which is just like in my opinion, like when I was 13, I was like, oh man, this movie's so deep.
You mean when you were 28?
Oh, you know it. But
You mean yesterday?
but, like Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman are solid in the film, and like John Hurt is like the friggin' like president dictator. I mean, like again, like John Hurt's great and everything. And And that movie really is like it lives and dies on like Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving's performance, as well as like the style of the action. So I enjoy that one quite a bit as well. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that they made a Doom movie and it came out this year. And
That movie is so bad.
yep, I like.
Better than Annihilation, though.
Yes, it's still better than Annihilation.
They need to stop naming video game sequels as Annihilation.
They really do. But like overall is like
There's a second Doom movie?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
no, Doom
Oh,
Annihilation. It is.
yeah.
It is not
It
good.
came out last year, man.
It is.
Oh,
It
boy.
is not a good time.
What?
Yep.
Like, and it's a
2019,
sequel to that
wasn't it?
2005
No.
movie?
Oh no.
No, it's a
or it's
whole
just
new
a-
movie.
It's a new adaptation of Doom, and it's worse.
But like, is it an adaptation of Doom, or did they just put a title on it?
well, no, like because
Isn't there a Resident Evil Annihilation or no?
No, Vendetta, Damnation, Extinction,
Afterlife.
Final Chapter.
Oh god, Extinction. There's Extinction for
What was the
Resident
fifth
Evil.
one?
The fifth.
There is a
one
movie
was...
after Final Chapter?
No. He's listing all of the animated movies they did, which are better
Oh.
than the live action movies.
I thought it was a live action one I was talking about.
Yeah. But no. Oh, God.
Anyway,
Anyways, but yeah. So, as a ripoff of Aliens that has like a pretty solid cast and like just like a dumb sci-fi action flick. Plus, it's got Carl Urban and the Rock, so like it's got entertainment value to be had.
Carl Urban's pretty money.
As an adaptation of Doom, it's pretty bad. Like they don't even have hell in it. It's like a virus that turns people into like
It's
monsters.
Resident Evil in space.
It's literally Resident Evil in
Yeah.
space. It's pretty much Doom in name and the fact that it's on Mars. It's definitely more. It's more like Doom 3 than it is the original Doom games.
I'm sorry, I still dislike that first person shooter thing.
Like
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
that first person shooter sequence
at least
was
it's-
painful.
like at least it's fun and
It's filler.
and
it's like they didn't.
And
It's
got
like
a solid like bit of soundtrack that kind of sounds like a Doom.
They're like,
type
guys,
track.
look,
our
look,
movie's
we
10 minutes
made this
too
movie out
too
of this
short.
game. Check this part out. Look, the movie
Also,
has the
can you-
game in
yeah.
it, guys. It's the
Oh,
game.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
did-
again.
could you tell this movie's based on a game?
Oh my god.
Have you guys heard? That's kind of
Well,
what that whole
well,
thing was.
again,
It was
they
like, hey guys,
literally-
we get it. Like,
it's like-
holy.
It's Doom, but like you get like mostly zombies. You get like a couple imps. You get one Pinky, and then there's like 2 Hell Knights, and that's it. And
But
they're
they're
not
all
even
terribly
demons.
designed. They're
Yeah.
all completely different. Like
Because even when you compare them to like the Doom 3 designs, they're not nearly as like creepy or they're just big blobby
they're
monsters.
big CG
I
monsters.
appreciate though some of them are practical suits and like I appreciate the practical effects in it, but like again, some of them just like look like big dopey monsters. But it
That
does
would be more terrifying if
Yeah.
they were being attacked by like Dopey of like the Seven Dwarfs, just like an army of him with his big waving ears.
it's not Doom,
It would
it's
honestly be
dope.
horrifying.
It's just
That'd be terrifying,
It's just-
wouldn't it?
Yeah, I
Dopey.
agree.
See, now I want the Seven Dwarfs as like a horror movie.
And like a final note on that, it has one of my favorite. Like I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, but one of the funniest moments ever. Because again, the movie was marketed on The Rock being the main character, and at one point in that movie, he gets like attacked and like he gets dragged through like the like hollow wall thing there, and he's gripping the ground. He looks at Carl Urban. He says, "I'm not supposed to die," and then he gets dragged off. It's like this unintentional moment of comedy because it's like, oh, of course it's The Rock. He's supposed to be the hero of the movie, and then
I
he
think
just
that
gets
was an intentional moment of
like
comedy.
it's definitely like, wait a minute, The Rock died.
I think that was definitely an intentional thing.
Yeah,
I don't think that was meant to be unintentional comedy. I'm pretty sure that was like, hey guys, our movie's funny too.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And again,
yeah.
I was fine with it because Carl Urban is just awesome.
You didn't even know who Carl Urban was when you saw it.
I knew he was Aomir.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Of course I did.
You're making
watched
things
Lord of
up.
the
The
Rings.
next thing you're gonna tell me is you liked Dread when you first watched it.
Well, no, when I first watched it, I thought it was okay. And then now I love it. So,
Well, the next thing you're gonna tell me I didn't have to drag you to it.
oh, calm down. Anyways, so Doom was a movie that came out in 2005. Is
That's
what I'm
his
trying
point.
to...
It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was a movie. It
Yeah.
existed.
Indeed.
Happy birthday.
Ethan, you're up.
I'll fire off my main list. Coach Carter, Phantom of the Opera, Hitch, Sin City, Fantastic Four, Four Brothers, Brothers Grimm.
Fantastic Four? That's on your list. That's
That
surprising.
came out. Fantastic Four is weird for me because
I just assumed you didn't like it.
it's no. So Fantastic Four is one of my favorite superhero teams. I love them to death. A lot of that is connected to my dad because that's kind of how he got me into superheroes.
Right.
And his favorite superhero is the Human Torch. And honestly, that first Fantastic Four movie with all of its flaws and stuff like that is still a really decent Fantastic Four movie. Like, it's still pretty fun. Silver Surfer, they went off the rails. And then Fan Four Stick, we've already talked about.
That's just, like, wow.
But, like, that first Fantastic
Talk
Four
about
was
driving
campy.
into a brick wall, like, holy.
Yep. But the first Fantastic Four movie was campy. But that works for Fantastic Four. They're a cheesy team. They're a funny team. It's a family.
Yep.
Like, and they nailed that. I really liked that. Victor Von Doom is still weird. I don't know why they gave him superpowers like that. It didn't make any sense, but as 2005 Ethan loved that movie. Like, I watch it on repeat all the time. Most of the movies. Well, I mean, Hitch and Sin City is actually one that I watched quite a bit. But Fantastic Four was one that I watched all the time. Otherwise, like, I have 3 movies that, like, would be my top picks, along with producers, and that would be Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I found a lot later in life, and absolutely phenomenal movie, absolutely hilarious, just really good. It's hard to describe other than Earth gets destroyed, but one guy manages to survive. See, it's one of my favorite movies, but I can't remember the premise of it. But it's such a weird. It's so good, but it's so weird, and I love it. I need to rewatch it. Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. I love the Narnia films. I love the Narnia books. I loved the adaptation that they did. I thought, this is it. This is the next Lord of the Rings. With this movie, this is the next Lord of the Rings. And then the other 2 movies happened, and then it died, and I'm very upset.
You're just like, never mind.
Man, like, no, but that first Narnia movie was so good. Like, the amount of practical monsters, the amount of, like, unique world building that was going on, the expansion that they did to that story, and they nailed that story, and it was so good. And then they just got bogged down by a bad adaptation of Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Like Mr. Lusick used to say, you crap the bed, man. You crap the bed. You got into your PJs, you got all warm, you put your little blanket heater in bed, you got under your covers, and you're all snuggled up and ready for a good night's sleep, and you shit the bed. You shit the bed.
Because I'm assuming you guys both saw that one too, right?
The first one, yeah.
I've seen Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, yeah.
And, like, you would agree, a good movie. Like, overall,
I wouldn't say
like,
it was a
maybe
bad
not
movie. That whole universe never really worked for me that well, so... But, like, as a film itself and, like, what went into it in the storytelling, like, I didn't have a problem with it that way. I just... Like, it just wasn't for me. Like, it just didn't capture
100%.
me the way, other ones do. But
whereas for me, like, Narnia was, like, I could recite that backwards and forwards. I could probably still tell you, like, the entire arc. That would just be a fun thing to do, is, like, sit down and have me explain Narnia from beginning to end. It would just be way too long of a video, but, like, I could run through it.
That would be fun for who?
For me, it would be great for me. I don't care if it's fun for you guys.
Like, that would be a great
I was the target audience.
For who?
It was really interesting.
But no, it's one that I think...
That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Tell me about God some more.
If I was to... Shut up. If I was to base my own Narnia movies off of anything, it would definitely be heavily influenced by that first attempt. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then my final top pick, which I think is just one of the best remakes ever made, hands down, is Peter Jackson's King Kong. Like, that is, in my opinion, the probably best handled remake. I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people dislike it.
It's a really cool movie.
It's a long movie,
man.
but
It's
I love
super
that.
long,
I love
but
the
it's, like, really cool.
I love the extended edition. I love everything they added in. Like, it's so fun, and it's just... I think we've discussed how much I love King Kong on this before, though, and, like, this is no exception. It's one I revisit very frequently.
It's a really solid movie, and, like, it really, like... You can tell that Peter Jackson had a lot of passion for the original King Kong, and just, like...
Well, that was what started him on everything.
Like, because there are so many like little things that are just like it's basically like it's simultaneously like a really solid like new adaptation of that material, but
then a
also
love letter.
a massive love letter / fan film of the original film.
original.
And to think Carl Urban would rather have been in Doom than in King Kong.
Was he offered King Kong?
I don't know, but he probably could have been.
Dude, like, we don't know, but it would
I-
have been
I-
better.
King Kong is like him and King Kong is like as good as what's his name, the guy who played like the actor.
Adrian Brody.
No,
Oh,
Adrian
like-
Brody was the writer.
Okay.
The guy who's
I
like
can
the
never
actor
remember.
in his movie.
I can never remember his name, but
but-
he's in the new Godzilla franchise as like the dad.
Yeah, I should remember his name because he's actually like a really solid actor.
Wait, you're telling me the guy who's in the new Godzilla films?
Oh no, he's a different character. Like he's not the same.
No, I
character.
get he's not the same character, but the actor is in that. When that
Yeah.
series also has a King Kong, and he was also
Oh,
in
yeah.
King Kong. Like, so okay, dude, pick a monster universe, man.
The,
only
the
get to be in
whitest
one.
name ever. Kyle Chandler.
Kyle Chandler. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty white.
He-
That's super
yeah.
white.
Like I absolutely love Kyle Chandler in that
Oh, yeah.
movie because like he is the
Yeah.
most like 1930s actor man.
He's the most actor in that. Like he exudes the stereotypes of acting, and I love it.
like
There's that scene where like they deface his
yeah, so he put a
posters, and then
mustache on him,
and then he stops with his comb and like starts looking at himself as the mustache and being like, "Oh yes, this is a great idea. I should grow one of these."
Not a bad idea.
yeah.
No, like man, like it's just so good. The characters are fun. Jack Black nails acting in this
Yeah.
movie. He is phenomenal from beginning
as-
to
him
end.
Yeah,
as
he's
Carl Denton.
really good.
Like
So good. Naomi Watts is actually that's how I found out about Naomi Watts and how great of an actress she is too. Like, dude, like the cast is just so good.
yeah, like
Jamie Bell. Freaking love Jamie
like
Bell.
everybody in the movie is 100% committed to like
Andy Serkis
the
as
project.
Kong and as the cook
yeah.
gets the worst death ever.
Oh my god,
Dude,
just
like
the
honestly,
friggin'
that
slug.
scene would like if I was
the
there,
bugs?
I would like I'm just gonna shoot myself. Like
I'm
F
just
it,
gonna
man.
shoot myself.
Like I'm
Yeah,
just
he,
I'm
he
not
couldn't.
even
His
gonna,
arms
like,
and his leg.
like
How is he gonna shoot himself in that scenario?
no,
still had
I
his-
mean like
he still had
as
his
soon
knife, he
as
could've
the
just-
bugs show up, I'm shooting myself because I know. Well, I'm fucked. That's it, man.
Nope.
Like especially
No.
those worm things that come out as soon as like their heads start coming out, or like more mouths start coming out of their
No.
mouths. I've been like, nope. I'm
Maybe that's where my irrational fear of worms came
like
from.
seriously, how Andy Serkis dies in that thing. I'm like, that'd be
It's the
terrible.
greatest-
That would be,
It's
like,
the
that's-
greatest and worst death
It's
in the
100%.
world,
It,
and I love
it
it.
is, man. Like it's
Pure nightmare fuel.
Well, like-
It
That's
is
what I
like,
love, is, like-
oh my god, that would be so terrible.
King
Yeah.
Kong also allowed Peter Jackson to return to his horror roots. And like
100%.
the more I revisit things that I watched growing up, the more I'm like, oh, so my parents are totally indirectly responsible for me liking horror. And they didn't know because they didn't see it as horror stuff. They're like, oh, it's adventure movies with like weird
Yeah.
stuff, like Indiana Jones when like the heads explode in the face. That's totally horror
Totally
stuff.
melts, yeah.
But they're like, oh, that's part of an adventure story. It's
Again,
fine.
like,
and it's like,
Temple of Doom, like has so much horror stuff.
I
And,
know. Well, I wasn't allowed to watch that for the longest
Kalima,
time. But like the thing is,
Kalima.
if you look at a bunch of stuff that I've watched over the years, all of it leads to like me finding horror and finding that appealing. And like they didn't intend that for me. That's not what they wanted, but it's what they got.
This is not what they wanted.
But I'm fine with that. But like no man, like the horror moments in King Kong is so good. It's so good.
On like either you buy like the there's no other real like word for it, but like the kindred spiritness of between like Khan and Anne.
Yeah.
And like especially like the scene towards the end, like a lot of people think like the scene of them on like the ice, like and they're like having a good time. A lot of people think that's like super goofy and like ridiculous.
I swear you used to make fun of it.
No, like man, that scene, like I'm like, oh, it's so goddamn beautiful. Like it's just in its purity. And then like you're sad at the end when Kong like is getting shot up on the Empire State Building. Like it is so friggin' sad at the end there. Like that movie gets me like unreasonably emotional about Kong, but like that's a testament to like
Is it because beauty is gonna kill you sometime? Yeah, beast.
probably yes.
Yeah, beast.
I relate to the
You relate to Kong, where
and his inability to convey his emotions in a healthy
you like
way.
you like tiny blonde women, but they don't like you back, and
I'm covered in hair.
you're gonna climb to the top of a building. And
Oh, I can't climb things. Are you kidding?
have you tried?
I'd get to like the foot of the Empire State Building and be, it's a lot of floors.
Like, is this a laziness thing or a fear of heights thing or a bit of both?
A little bit both. But like, you know what? You guys just kill me.
How about you guys just kill me here? It's gonna be way easier.
Oh no!
It's
Like
gonna
no,
be
he
way
just like
easier.
he just gives up and he just like sets himself down and lays down. Oh no, I've been shot. I'm just gonna lay down. Oh
Just fake
no!
death.
He takes a nap.
Fake death,
I'd like start climbing.
Say the line.
Oh, no.
Say the line.
I'd start climbing, get like about 20 feet up, start panting profusely, and
like
just come down, put my hands up. You got me.
I like that you're bold enough to think you would make it 20 feet up. No
Well,
problem.
no, I'm already.
would
no,
not
I'm
make it
20 because I'm like
and it-
20 feet tall already.
I
It's like,
think-
Oh,
no.
you're Kong-sized
Yeah,
in
I'm
this
Kong-sized.
scenario.
Yeah, I'm Kong-sized in this scenario. I get like 1 foot, like one
I'm like-
kind of floor up, and I'm like, oh god.
see, I thought you were U-sized.
U-size. Yeah, that's what I thought we were going
I
for.
thought too.
And I was like,
I'm like, that's really bold of
Oh,
you to
the
assume
most-
you could
no, no, no.
climb
the most
the side of the
unbelievable
building.
part for me was not the fact you climbed 20 feet, it's the fact that you went back down. Like, if you're afraid of heights and you're up 20 feet, you're not going back down unless you fall.
No, but
'cause
like
you're
I'm
just
like
terrified.
in this scenario.
I was
In
like,
this scenario,
how
I'm
did you
Kong.
get back down?
I'm Kong, and I've climbed 20 feet, and I'm like,
So
know,
you just you held onto the
I don't want
building.
to die tired. I mean,
See, no, I just still see this as you in my head canon. This is just still
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like, you're not Kong size, you're U size.
I'm new
and
size.
you,
I
and you
get,
just look like you. You're just you.
And everyone's really
you got
confused
me.
about what's going on. Everyone's like, what
We're
is
holding like a little
happening right
Barbie. Not even a real person, just like a little Barbie doll.
now? Everyone's like, someone call the
Say
hospital.
the
man.
line.
This
What
guy's
line?
got some
Say the
problems."
line.
I-
It was beauty that killed the beast. Oh yeah, I've been killed.
Oh, man.
oh shit.
Also, like, that's man. Now just like, can we just reenact the entirety of Kong with you? Like, just like I'll film it.
Just rotoscope
Oh,
me in.
No, I don't. I mean, like, we're gonna just go and shoot this. We're just gonna put you. We'll put you in front of a green screen and just like have you act like Kong. So act like yourself, basically. is it?
Wow. okay.
I have photos of him like walking like Sasquatch, and it's the funniest thing in the world.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
If you want proof of this, link.
No. Solid movie.
It's again.
It
I
was
think it's one of
solid.
the greats.
It was solid.
I think it doesn't get enough recognition, and a lot of people overshadow. Oh, it's not the original one, and it's like, well, no, it's not. It came out like almost 100 years later.
It
Yes.
came out like, yeah, it was a really long time later. It's like, tell me, how many of those people have actually seen the original one? That's the question, right? It's like,
And that's so like
yeah.
here's the thing, I like looking at movies through the lens of the person who, like the people who were around when it came out, and I know for a fact that like straight up if you showed someone from 1933 the original King Kong, or if you showed them Peter Jackson's King Kong, they would probably be a lot more afraid of Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Well, for sure, yeah. 100%, man. You show anyone from the 30s any of the movies we have today, they'd be like, what in the living hell
are you
happened in the
doing?
future? Like, could you imagine taking, like, Infinity
show-
War
I
to the past? People
No,
would be
I wanna-
like, well, because the CGI is so convincing. Like, if you're in the
Yep.
30s, you're going to be like, that's a that is an actual thing. Like, right? What kind of
It's the big
future are you
trouble guy
guys
what the
freaking
War of the Worlds
living
was
in?
talking about.
What the hell, man?
But why would you show them Infinity War? They're not gonna have any context for the entire MCU.
Oh, they're gonna be
Matt.
so
I have
confused.
no
that's
idea,
even,
but
no,
it's going to be
even better.
confusing and
They're gonna
scary.
just-
It's going to be
They're
very
gonna be like,
scary.
what? I don't understand. This feels like there should be like 10 movies before this.
It feels
10
like
years worth
it
of
feels like
movies.
there should be a many
Seems to
motion
me I've
pictures
popped into the
before
middle
this
of
motion
a
picture.
old cereal.
What is this? What is this? And you guys like this? You guys like this? This is confusing. It's too flashy, too noisy, and color. Color will never catch on. You crazy people.
You
Color.
idiots!
We just got used to sound, and now you're trying to tell me color? What's up with you?
It's a baby, see? Like,
See?
what? It's a baby.
You're telling me that big purple guy there, he's gonna take over the world with some rocks? Unbelievable.
Now, do you have a bunch of purple people in the future, or is it just the one guy?
Now you tell me where I can find these purple actors.
You tell me where I find this purple person. I'm gonna put a cap in their ass.
Yeah, tell me where I can find them. See,
And I fill them full of lead. They're gonna be sleeping with the fishes. Find that purple bastard. Bring him down. Bring him down, boys.
find
Bring him
that
down
purple
hard.
bastard.
Anyway,
He's gonna work for me, or he's gonna be working for the fishes.
Why would he be working for the fishes?
I don't know.
I just have this image of like Thanos doing taxes for the fish for some reason.
oh man,
I'm sorry, Mr. Bass. I'll get right on that.
the
Gee.
typewriter.
He's just got the little glasses. He has a small desk.
Just in the little brim thing.
Doing his
visor.
And there's a giant goldfish with a baseball bat smoking a cigar. I don't.
Thanos Tax Services.
Why is he afraid of a fish?
Perfectly balanced,
I mean,
as all
I
things
don't know.
should be.
If you went underwater and you saw a bass sitting there with a cigar, bowler hat, and a freaking bat, you'd probably shit your pants too.
I'd be
The guy's
very
clearly
confused at the
clearly
very
on
least.
another level. No amount of infinity stones are gonna stop that guy.
Oh man.
I want this as a T-shirt now. It's gonna make no sense to anyone.
But it would be like the best, like seriously, for his tax company that does taxes, would be like the best slogan, right? Like perfectly balanced as all things should be. Thanos taxes, perfectly
Thanos
balanced as all things should be.
Should be.
It'll be a snap.
That'd be a
It'll be-
snap. That'd be a good
We'll
one
get
too.
we'll get him done in a snap.
So now I want to draw this.
I will kill my daughter for your taxes. That's how
Put you
committed
above
we
my
are.
family.
That's how committed we are to perfectly
We're
balancing
committed to
your
our
books.
goals. Thanos taxes.
Oh man.
Goodness, that's perfect. Thanos taxing.
Thanos taxing. Yeah, no, that needs to be a T-shirt. Thanos taxing.
Thanos-
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Thanos and daughter taxes. It was daughters, but like one of them is crossed.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be something. That would be
Like
something.
even that just as a T-shirt with like zero pictures or anything would be absolutely perfect.
The Thanos taxes. What the hell?
Thanos
Yeah.
taxing. It was too good. It was too good.
It's too good.
So good.
So
Anyway.
good. Speaking of Gorill's super awesome, great things, I guess
no,
the
we're
rest
at
of my
Matt's
list
list
for
now.
2005. This is gonna be a crapshoot.
this is
I'm
gonna
just gonna
hurt.
go. I'm gonna blow through these real quick so we can keep moving here. Okay. So the ones we already covered: Star Wars Episode 3, Batman's Begins, Kong you talked about already, so that's already covered. Triple X State of the Union talked about that. Ringer
We talked about the
that.
good movies.
Yeah, I know, right? Rent is one of my favorite ones. That's one of my favorite
Oh
musicals.
no! I
like-
debated putting Rent on here just because
We're
he
not
hates
gonna
it.
talk about Rent.
Dude,
Can we please talk about Rent?
I love Rent. That was like
Have you watched it recently?
Yes, I've watched it
So,
recently. I still
allow
love
me-
it. I really like. For me,
okay.
man, so much is about the music, and I
Matt,
really enjoy the
allow me-
characters. And it's kind of crazy and it's kind of wacky, but it's a good time
Matt,
in the
allow me to
worst
give you
possible
some-
way of a good time.
Matt, we're gonna
allow me
destroy
to-
Rent for you now.
Allow me to give you some context as to my relationship with the musical Rent. In college, I was one of the assistant stage managers for the production, and I was at pretty much all of the every single rehearsal for the musical. So I got the music of Rent stuck into my skull until the end of time.
Okay, when
They
was
didn't really
this?
have-
When was this?
So this was in college.
This is when
Okay,
I was
okay.
back in college.
So this was his first year of college. Funnily enough, I got to go see the show because that was the year that I went to Red Deer College to go and check it out.
Right.
So I got to see the show. I got to see the production that he was working on.
Cool.
That's actually.
That's
I
actually
just realized
that's kind of a funny.
that was the first time. That's the first time we were in the same room together.
That's true.
That's bizarre. That's weird.
That's
I was
pretty
under the
cool.
stage operating a smoke machine.
I was in the audience,
So-
wishing I had a smoke machine.
So I got to be there at every single performance under the stage, also listening to the music of Rent. So the music of Rent is now ingrained into my subconscious and will never leave. So
I cue him up all the time.
so when I
man.
tell you that I do not particularly enjoy the music of Rent because it will never leave.
I'll randomly start quoting Santa Fe to him. Seasons of Love.
Oh God.
Will you light my candle?
Seasons of
Love.
This is
Oh God.
Open up a restaurant in Santa Fe. Sunny Santa Fe will be nice. We'll
Yeah.
open up a restaurant
guys are gonna get a
in
copyright
Santa
strike.
Fe and leave this to the roaches and mice.
So
Oh
okay,
God.
so that's why he hates it.
Oh God.
So that's why he hates it, and like for me, it was a long process of hating it, because like you, well, we listened to that. That was high school us. Like all of us.
Oh yeah, for
loved
sure.
that.
Well, and this is what this is like 2014. So it really like I know I didn't watch this when I was 14, but it definitely caught on by the time I was in high school, like
Oh, yeah.
in a big way.
Well, like, and that's the thing is like, and we're all theater kids. We loved it, and then I went to college. I went to theater school there, and like again, his year were my year above me, and they all hated Rent. Our year didn't. But then we started collectively kind of looking at Rent in a critical light,
Yes.
and we started to realize everybody in that, I'll specifically stick to the movie, everyone's a terrible person, except for Collins and Benny. Like Benny's he's just trying to make a living. He's just
Yeah.
trying to make the neighborhood better.
He's just trying.
And everyone else is a freeloading artist being like, we're not going to pay our bills. And it's like, what do you mean you're not going to pay your bills?
That's not how being an adult works.
Mark can get help from his parents who are well off. They keep offering him money. He's like, no, I'm not going to take it to pay my bills because I'm an artist. And he's not an artist. He films homeless people who don't want to be filmed and go like, my film's going to change the world. No, it's not. No, it's not. And then they sing Mimi back to life? No! Why didn't they do that for Angel? Oh, right. Angel was also a bad person because she murdered a dog for money.
Seems legit.
They sang a song about it.
And no one was like, "Oh, that's awful." Like,
Even
nah.
the whole lead up to La Vie Boheme is literally the restaurant being like, "Hey guys, you never buy anything here,
You
and
need
you
to
take up
leave."
all our tables. Can you please leave?" And they're like, "No, we can
We're
be here because we're
artists."
artists." And they push together tables and do a song and dance. All because the rich white guys are there who are paying for their food. And Benny's like, "Come on, guys, chill. Like, come on, I will literally pay you to live here. I will pay your bills for you." And they're like, "No, you're a sellout, man." If one of my friends came up and said, "Hey, we're gonna build these new studio apartments with like state-of-the-art editing equipment, recording equipment, and you can live there
Sign me
for
up,
free.
baby."
I just need you to like move out for a little bit, but you'll be here," I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Be like, "Oh, that sounds like a great deal. Thanks, friend."
Oh man, I'll get money to produce my art. Cool. Like, and
Oh,
that's,
it's corporate art.
not to mention the amount of love for heroin and AIDS in that too. It's like
Love for
they
heroin
they romanticized AIDS and heroin, and it's not supposed to be that. Again, I don't know about the original off-Broadway show because I know that was not what it was supposed to be. But like by the time we got to the movie, they polished it way too much, and they made it look like so much.
Like, it's just, yeah, there's a lot of baggage with Red.
Which is a shame because the cast is incredibly talented.
Oh, 100%.
Like, and I think it was directed by Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
He's a great director. But the source material does not hold up upon review. Like, it's fun. It's a fun time, but on review, and when you really think about these characters, it's like, oh,
Like
no.
I don't think anyone's like coming to any musical saying like this is the best movie I've ever seen. Like when you're talking about any
The producers.
okay, that's just Ethan or whatever. But like the majority of musicals that get made into movies, like, while there are some that are standout and some people really enjoy, like, I still really enjoy Rent, but I'm not going to sit there and say, like, it doesn't have problems or the characters aren't flawed. I'm never going to say that, except Collins.
It's
I
not
love
that they're
Collins.
flawed.
I love, like,
Collins
the
is
only
amazing,
black
and
dude
Jesse
kicking
L. Martin
around,
is
and he's
amazing.
amazing. He's awesome. Also in the Flash series too. He's great.
So
Like,
good.
everything he's in, I'm like, I love this guy. I wish this guy was my dad. Like, it's like strange. I'm like, he has a very dad kind of energy, and it's like,
What? Yeah,
I
Matt,
wish this guy was my
could you
dad.
imagine if? Could you imagine if you found out like that he is your?
I would be very
he moved to
disappointed in
Hollywood
myself.
to
I would be
pursue a
like,
career.
oh, I am not. I am a very I am a huge disappointment. It's probably why he left.
You roll on up to the Flash set, like, hey, auntie.
Hey, auntie.
like-
Yeah, just Killmonger. Like, I'm just gonna kill all y'all. When I say something,
I mean,
that shit.
Now I'm on the Flash.
please do that.
You're my daddy.
like-
oh, okay, this is problematic.
Man, like it's the thing. The thing at the end of the day is like, I think at a surface level, yes, I think 100%. It's still an enjoyable film. Not for him because
No, but like
He
if
has
you
no-
were in his
Because
experience and you had to
psychological
sit
trauma.
there day after day.
oh yeah,
And again, to be clear, I have no ill will towards the actors in the play whatsoever. They did like
the school was trying to cash in on
yeah,
the popularity of Rent at the time.
yeah, like it's
And, like-
it's just it literally just it will be burned in my psyche until the end of time, and that's just something I have to live with. So it's fine, but but also like almost everyone else in my class has the same.
No,
thing.
everyone in your class did.
Yeah,
Because like someone in my class tried to play Rent in the shop, and it did not happen.
yeah, we all have
It
the
was
same.
squashed.
We all have the same unfortunate illness where we just cannot listen to Rent at all.
But again, that's where my reflection of Rent came from, was your class talking to me about it, and like I kept, because I was the same way when I showed up. I'm like, no, Rent's great, it's a good time, and then we talked about it. I'm like, they're full of it, and then I watched it. And I'm like, oh no.
oh no.
And then a few years passed, and I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll watch it again. It's just that one time. Oh no.
Like,
And then it's to a point I can't watch it anymore. Like, unless it's to make fun of it.
I can still watch him, man.
Or to torture him.
I freaking
And
like.
you know what?
Not only I love Collins, I love the music, and like for me too, one of the things
Well,
is it's like if I could just like I just love singing those songs. I love like blasting it.
The
I love
songs are
heavy
amazing.
stuff. Like
Like-
I love the quieter songs. Like I just like, but to listen to them, Prosser, and then to actually perform them, and the feeling that goes into it is like a whole
Like-
different ball game, man. If you can
Well, like-
sing, if you can't sing, that's probably horrendous.
Well, like, here's the thing, too. It's like, so the songs, a lot of the songs musically are amazing, and to sing are amazing. Lyrically, again, when you reflect on the lyrics and what they're singing about, it's really,
Oh, there's some definitely questionable shit in there.
it's really weird. It's really, really weird. But, like, What You Own is an amazing song.
Yep.
I love that song. I think it's a really well-written one. Lo Vivo M is fun, but it is horrendous.
It is a lot
It
of
is
stuff.
so bad.
It is a lot
like-
of things.
The Tango Maureen. Like, there's a lot of, like, it's, sure, they're catchy when you think about, like, they're pop songs. They're 100% pop songs put into Broadway. And, again, like, upon reflection, upon a deeper look, and that's a lot of things. A lot of things don't hold up on a deeper look, but there's a lot of things that do. And that's where this one, I feel like, it just hasn't aged as well as it could have.
I don't know, like all things, man. Like it's subjective. Like it depends if those things are like. I guess
two
it
against
depends
one,
what
Matt.
you're looking for in that film, right?
I got a lot of baggage
Like-
going into this, so
Yeah, no, for sure you do. But I just think like some people are maybe like interested in seeing a story from that point of view, or they don't mind it, or it doesn't bug them, right? Like for some people, that's gonna be like, oh, the characters are all assholes. That's a complete off put to me. You know what I mean? But on the other
like-
hand, it's like, aren't people just? Don't we just have tons of assholes around anyway? So it's like literally, it's no different
Well, I
than the
think-
rest of the world. It's like it's
I
just
think
not imaginary, right? Like it kind
Well,
of
that's
does.
very
It hits
cynical.
on some pretty like sensitive topics, heavy themes, but it doesn't. It doesn't really like shy away from them. It doesn't say like, oh, these people are just great people. It's like it really does show you they're assholes, and it really does
Well, I
show you
think-
they're terrible. And like at no point did I ever feel like justified it though.
But I think, like, to me, I think the strongest stuff is like the "Will I Lose My Dignity" song.
Yeah.
It's even when I think I've got him to admit, like, that's a good song and that's actually a good moment. That's a good,
Yeah.
that's a good, what the focus of the movie should have been about. The problem for me is it's so overshadowed by the glamorization of the starving artist. And I think that's a problematic way to view things. I think it's a problematic, as a creator, it's a problematic ideal to have. Is that unless you suffer or unless you're starving or everything else above everything else, it can get toxic, and it does in that movie. It gets very, very toxic.
But that's but that's like part of the point too, right?
But the problem is at the end of the day, though, they never resolve that, because Mark gets a job, which is good, but then he quits the job because he's like, no, this clashes with my beliefs about being a starving artist, and it's like, ah!
I quit.
Instead of using the money that you are earning legitimately to fund your art, do that thing, do the good thing. Like, and that's the problem to me. Is at the end of the day,
that's also like your choice and your view. Like, there are people who are gonna say like, oh yeah, there are people who do this starving artist thing, and that's their identity. Like, that's part of just like their identity. It's like,
and I think it's a toxic
point of
identity
pride.
that needs
And
to go away.
No one's saying it's not, and the film doesn't say it's not. The film doesn't say.
Does
I'm
the
just
film
saying,
say
just
that it's
because
not,
there's some
Rossi?
bad ideologies,
Leave me out of
and
this.
not bad
He just wants to forget about Rent.
we need to move on anyway. This was supposed to be like quick fire through this thing, but I'm just saying, like, just because there's like
Sorry, you brought
bad
up Red?
ideologies and asshole characters, I don't think that makes like the whole thing trash or it makes it good or bad. Like, I think that just comes down to, again, the subjectiveness of film and what people when they're watching it, what things work for people. Because some people, like the starving artist thing, some people might give zero shits about. Like, that might not bug them at all. Like, for you, who is an artist and trying to make your work, you're like, get a job, you bum. Like, for you,
Because,
that's personal
again,
and that connects to you, right?
because
But,
it
like, for other
perpetuates,
people, it might not matter at all. So, like, for you guys, I 100% understand where you're coming from. For me, I'm just
I
like,
think-
these
Thank
things
you.
don't bug me. I get what they're doing. I get what they're saying. I get what they're showing, but it doesn't, to me, make it bad.
And I will never take it away from you.
And
Just
you
keep
could
it far
argue,
away
you
from
could argue
me.
about different executions for things, right? And like the technicality
course.
of the film itself, and
Of
like the
course.
scenes and
Well,
how
it's-
things are set up, and like, and those things, like, I can have a conversation and agree, because those are a little bit easier to, while film's subjective, it's like there's certain technical things that's like clearly make something of quality higher or lower, right?
Well, that's where I think at the end of the day, the musical itself, like the Broadway show, or off-Broadway show, works better because it is an opera and the entire thing is sung, so the context is a little, like, for some things a little different.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
Sure, I
the
can agree with
movie, as soon as you turn the songs into dialogue, it doesn't translate as well.
See, and that
And that's
could,
as someone
yeah,
who's like,
sure.
and it's weird. It's weird, and I understand why they made the choice. It's just still a bizarre choice to me. But you know, it's I'll let you have it, Matt. But I think
We will
think it's
agree
just-
to disagree, because I
think you
haven't
agree to
learned to
be-
hate it, and it was one of the songs. It was like one of the things too, where it's like, I think it was one of the first times me and my wife actually like hung out. It was also my other buddy was there too for that.
Aw.
But it was just one of
That's
those things
nice,
where it's
though.
like we were singing the songs together, and he was just like, "I hate my life. Why am I here?"
See,
like,
if you would have led with Matt, if you
Yeah.
would have led with that, I wouldn't have gone in as hard on Rent. Like,
like,
that's just,
so yeah, like, well, that's not like the only reason, but it's like, I don't know, I love the music, man, and I love singing those songs, especially like the power ballads and like the softer ones too, right? The reprise of Seasons of Love, right, at the funeral, I'm like, that's some powerful music, man. That's some powerful stuff, if you can do it right. If you can't, do it. And anyway, I still enjoy the film. A history
And
of
you're allowed.
a history of violence. That's the next one's on my list.
Never seen
Did
it.
you guys ever see that one? That's Viggo Mortensen.
It's been on my list for a very long time. I do need to see. 'Cause
Dude,
that's David
watch it.
Cronenberg, right?
I don't remember who directed it, to be honest.
I want to say.
I just know it's
could be
Viggo.
wrong.
I remember it's Viggo Mortensen. I remember it's this cool, like, is he this? Is he that? It's this kind of like criminal trying to live a normal life kind of thing. But then you're like, is he a criminal? Is he not? Like, it's kind of uncertain for a good part of it. But it's actually it's a really enjoyable film. Some really good like set pieces and like moments and stuff like that. And again, just like Viggo Mortensen like knocks it out of the park. And honestly, like using modern language, I'm totally a simp for that guy. Like I just love like whatever he's in. I'm just like I fucking love it, man. Like I just like I
dude's
love him as
awesome.
a performer. Like he's a very talented, very strong performer. Just watched
See,
like Captain Fantastic the other day, 2016 film of his was quite good. Green Book was really good. Obviously won Best Picture that
The
year. it
Road,
came
he's
out.
really good into.
Like he's just a really really solid talented actor. Transporter 2. So you see, this is kind of where my list is getting funny and goofy, man. I remember 14 loving Transporter 2. Like,
Transporter movies are.
I have never seen any of
I
them.
watched Transporter 2 again recently, and I was like, oh, this is not like as good as I remember, but as 14, I was like, man, this is some dope shit.
Oh yeah,
Loved
like, that
it.
was the height of the Jason Statham. Like it's the height of Jason Statham's career. Like when from like Transporter to like again we talked about the Crank movies.
Yeah.
Last time I was on.
Yeah, like the Transporter, I think that was kind of like the earlier part where he's coming more like mainstream and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really love those films. That Transporter 2 though one was really, it was fun. Like the first one was okay, third one was okay, but I thought like the second one was fun because it definitely changed it up a bit, like the formula of like the series. So, Four Brothers, you already kind of talked about that one a little bit. That's a really good one. Here's another like goofy ass one. Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo.
Oh Jesus!
Fuck, that movie was so stupid, and I couldn't tell you what the hell happened. The Island, you already talked about that. Wedding Crashers, I thought was a really fun one.
Wedding
Vince
Crashers is
Vaughn.
fun.
It's a
and
fun
Owen
movie, yeah.
Wilson. For that one, Robots we talked about, and Coach Carter was also on my list as well. That was a really powerful one. Samuel L. Jackson there.
Inspirational.
Worst movie that came out the year though, I just wanted to mention it was like House of Wax. That movie was freaking terrible.
Never saw it.
It's like
I avoided it.
yeah,
Yeah, that was probably a good choice, man. But the best part was when
I
Paris
mean-
Hilton dies. We rewound that and watched it
That's-
like time again. It was really weird,
See,
but it was funny.
That's why I avoided it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Paris Hilton's in this. I don't need to watch
Like,
that.
it was,
well, never mind.
it was a terrible film. All right, guys. So that's it for my list. 2005. Those are our best films, our favorite films from 2005. Some very fun, heated discussions, but all in good fun. All in good fun. All in the love of being movie fans and being able to talk about them together. Agree, disagree, doesn't matter. We love films at the end of the day. We know you do too. Question of the day. I guess I'll take this one because these freeloaders don't even have a question of the day. So I'll.
We just can't pay rent,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
How are we gonna pay?
Oh no!
You guys need to pay your goddamn rent. God damn it.
Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll open up a restaurant in Santa Fe.
Oh, Sunny Santa Fe, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
You know what? You guys should just sing on the streets and shit. That'll work. That'll
That was the whole
That will
point of
work.
rent, and that's why it was bad.
and that's why it was not a great philosophy. Not bad. Question of the day. So we've been in lockdown from COVID. We haven't been able to go to the movie theaters and just
What?
been able to like really enjoy
Don't be a
the
dick.
best movie going experience that we can as movie fans. So here's my question. It's kind of a two-parter. First movie you're going to see in the theaters because they're going to be opening up soon. So what's the first movie you're going to go see in the theaters? And then the second part is which movie, if you could pick any movie across history to watch in the theaters when you go back, what would you watch first? So it's kind of a two-parter. One's realistic, one's Fantasyland.
I'd have to look at like what's kind of coming around the corner here. Like
Honestly, I can't. I have no idea.
Like,
for
there's
the
no
first movie
movies
that
you
I'm gonna
guys are
see in
looking forward to
theaters.
right now?
Well, like, there's movies I'm looking forward to, but like, I don't know what the first one would be. And like,
because like of course
honestly, at this point, as someone who's watched a couple big releases just at home, I'm such a homebody that like I'd have to have a reason. Like, I'd have to have someone. Someone would have to be like, "Yeah, let's go see."
Oh
a
my
movie.
god, I would literally have to
I won't-
drive to Alberta and take you. Except I'm not going to do that. 'Cause
well because
Like,
like,
the thing, I don't think I'd instigate going to a movie if someone else wants to go
Dude,
to a
I
movie.
almost
I'll
went
go
to a
with
movie
them,
by
but, like,
myself last weekend just because I wanted to go see a movie so bad.
I
Almost.
love movies and I love the theater going experience, However, to me, again, it has to be an event. It has to be a thing. It has to be a thing that you do with a group of people or a couple people. It's a thing you go to experience. So, like, just picking, like, any movie
You
that's coming out,
experience
like,
with
nah,
the
like,
audience.
but not every movie's that way, though.
So like, I
Because if I can dig through the crap, and I can, like, watch the bad movies at home, rather than, like, go to a movie, it's like, is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? Like, I'd rather
Well, I'm
save
not
that for,
saying
like,
you
the
have to
movies
go.
that
I'm
I
not
know
saying you
is...
should go see every single movie in theaters like that ever comes out. I'm just saying. Like,
No, but I'm saying, like for me,
it
it's
have
like...
to be an event
like,
every time. I don't know.
the first one that comes to my mind is Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, that's one that, like, I'm gonna want to see in
Yeah.
theaters because I know it's gonna be good. I know the team behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board for that one.
That's
The
like
other ones,
next
I'm like,
year.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I'm in no rush, man.
Jesus.
Like, even the new
so-
Bond one, like, I'd watch that at home, and then
I would love to see that in the theater.
and then I would
honestly.
go with you.
So like, I don't necessarily have an answer for like. It would probably be something like his, like where it's like Thor: Love and Thunder or like Bond or something like that. Like I'd love to see in the theater. I could give you a solid answer for like a movie I would love to have seen in theaters that I didn't get to see in theaters, and that would be Kong versus Godzilla. Like, I enjoyed that movie so freaking much watching it at home, but I would have loved to have seen that movie on
the
like
big
the
screen,
IMAX screen and just like experience the sound mix and everything and just like the big bombastic ridiculous adventure that movie is in the theater would have been just a absolute hoot and a half. Like it's just the action was great. I love the scope of the world that they've created in the MonsterVerse. So like that's a movie I wish I could have seen in the theater. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it at home. I feel like for a first viewing experience, I would have enjoyed it even more in the theater. So
Out of all the movies in time, that's the one you
That's
picked?
what I was
well,
wondering.
no, but
I was like,
wait,
that's a
so-
very recent pick.
We're not talking about ones you missed in COVID. He said, like, of all time.
oh well, fuck.
It's like Kong versus Godzilla. And we just let him go.
I
We
get
don't
what
even-
you're
We
saying,
don't even
but,
like
like...
try to correct him. We're just
fuck.
like, it's
Well,
a weird
okay,
pick,
so,
dude.
well, okay,
I'm
so
like,
like,
there's got to
well,
be better movies than that.
Well, okay,
No, you already picked one. You can't.
No,
you can't,
like, I'm-
you can't go back.
fine. Well, I misunderstood the question, so I feel like I get a redo here. Like honestly, it's I would want to watch my favorite movie of all time in the theater because I've never gotten the opportunity. I'd
Why
want to
would-
watch The Thing.
Why would you want to go to a movie where everyone's disappointed who's watching it except for you?
How dare you? Oh, well, what's your real
you
answer?
know
I
what?
can't believe you
No,
picked
you know
Kong vs.
what?
Godzilla. Oh,
Just 'cause
I'd
that
rather
answer-
watch John Carpenter's The Thing. Oh, why would you want to watch that movie in the theater?
Come on
No,
the
you know what my
podcast.
answer
It's
is?
going to be a fun time.
Oh, let
you know
me
what my
just make
answer
fun
is
of
then?
everything you've ever done in your life now.
No, you know what my answer is then? I'd go and see E.T. to take away a ticket sale from
Oh,
the thing.
you asshole. You son of a bitch.
Just because it goes back to like the earlier conversation where it's like I hope it's terrible and I hope
No.
I,
I feel
But,
like I've seen a movie over 50 times. I feel like The Thing is not going to be disappointing
No,
watching
like-
the theater.
well, that's the thing is I think you'd want to see a good Thing movie in theaters. Mm-hmm. Because you've never had that. You've never got to see a good The Thing movie in theaters.
Yes, that's very true. But like, because any time it's been in the theater, I've either been busy or it's like 2 cities away and I
Well,
couldn't drive at the time or what have you. And like, it's like, I would love to see my favorite movie of all time actually in the theater.
And like in a proper like how it was meant to be watched, right? Like if you could watch it on film, you would watch it on film.
Oh,
right?
100%. 100% I would. Like, digital projection, I'll take what I can get, but like,
Especially now they have actually good restorations as opposed to.
yeah.
Have you ever told Matt about like the denoiser thing for the Thing for so many
Oh
years?
god. Okay, so the original Blu-ray for The Thing, like back when Blu-ray was first coming out and all that,
Right.
like digital denoising like was becoming very popular with these because like, oh, we can make the crystal clear, we could take out the film grain and everything like that, and not realizing that like when you do that, if you're not careful, you actually end up taking detail out of the movie itself just because that's how movies are made. Like literally it's a photograph, right? So literally, when they denoised the thing for its original Blu-ray release, it removed all the snow falling from the sky. So because the denoiser just took that as film grain, so literally it's in Antarctica and there is no snowfall unless it's a massive blizzard. It's ridiculous. It makes it look like they're like makes it look like the movie's on a sound stage.
Wow.
Like, and there's like just all the snowfall is gone, and then later releases they correct this and like it's still denoised.
You feel like
but
they
like,
wouldn't like notice that
oh no,
before.
oh no, when Blu-ray was first starting out, they just kind of did it, and then like it's actually one of the things that like HD DVD did better than the Blu-ray, because the HD DVD still had the snowfall, but it was still a crisp image, whereas the Blu-ray didn't. But of course, Blu-ray took off and HD DVD didn't.
Right.
But in recent releases, they've done like 2K and like 4K restorations of it, and the snow's back, so balance has been restored. But it's just the funniest thing. Like, they've completely removed the snow from a movie that takes place in Antarctica. It's just ridiculous.
So like, okay, so I have an answer for mine as
Okay.
well. Because yeah, honestly, I still think Thor: Love and Thunder is gonna be like the first one that I actively go, but I'd have to look at a list and see what's coming out. But honestly, I would probably have to give going to see a movie, like any movie that I could in theaters. It's gonna be Jaws or Alien.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
good call.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Hell
I
yeah.
don't know what it is about it, but just like, because I got to see Close Encounters in theaters. I think I've seen Back to the Future in theaters. I don't remember, which is funny because I should remember that. But like, I feel like the atmosphere of Jaws on the big screen, and the same goes for Alien on the big screen, would just be so perfect for a home theater viewing. Like, I think it would elicit new emotions from me. That's this weird thing to say, but I think I would feel differently.
Well, it is like
Seeing those movies.
especially in those like types of films, right? It's a very different experience in the movie theater than in your
Like
house.
the tension, right?
Like I think in your home too, like it's a smaller screen, but I think that like being in your home, there's that element of safety that you're in a safe.
can
Oh yeah,
pause, you can
100%.
skip.
When you're in a theater, and like if you got
There's no
scared, you
escape.
could skip and pause it, whatever. But at theater, like you just got to sit in that chair, and it happens to you. Like you don't got a freaking choice, right? Like I think there's that. That's where,
100%,
like,
man.
it takes away that safety, that little bit of feeling of safety that I think really
Well, I
helps
think-
with those films. But
I think that's one of the reasons why like films like The Exorcist don't necessarily hold up for modern audiences as much as they do for
that would be
older
a good one
ones.
too.
Because like a lot of people when they watch The Exorcist now and they're like, "Oh, it's the scariest movie of all time," and then they watch it like a Blu-ray in their home and it's like a very like it's not like a super in your face horror movie until you get towards the end, and then like it's a movie that relies primarily on subtlety, and I think it's still like incredibly scary movie, but like a lot of modern audiences might not feel that way because again they're watching it on their couch at home. But if you're like in the movie theater and you're just engrossed in that atmosphere,
yeah,
probably terrify you a little more.
dude,
Well,
man, people
atmosphere
were
comes
committing
through.
suicide after that movie when it came out. Like
Scared
people
the
were
crap out
that
of 'em.
scared, they were
Atmosphere-
like jumping off buildings and shit. It was crazy.
Atmosphere really comes through in the theater, and I think that's gonna sound so mean to modern films, but a lot of modern films lack atmosphere. Like for the most part, they just kind of lack that vibe, right? So that's where like you don't really miss out. Like sometimes when you watch stuff at home, you don't miss out on it. Like there's the theater going experience, but there's that added element of just atmosphere and tension and a story that pulls you in. Jojo Rabbit would be another one I'd love to see in theaters. I didn't get to see that one in theaters, but
It's like
I just feel like I just feel like it doesn't quite hit the same nerve. Because even going and seeing like the remake of Evil Dead, which is still a horror movie, not remake, whatever the 2010 version turned out to be,
like
remake
slash-
sequel
yeah.
thing, alternate reality. The tension was there, and it was fun, but it didn't hit the same nerve. You know, it
Yeah.
didn't hit the same kind of like atmospheric feeling that like say even the original Evil Dead in theaters would be
Yeah.
like really bizarre to see. Like it's
like when I think of like a movie that like really stood out to me is like I was like engrossed in the atmosphere watching it in the theater. Like Blade Runner 2049 is the one that really comes to mind,
Yeah,
just because
that's
like
fair.
that movie, just like you are in that world for the entirety of its runtime.
But I'd even say Star Wars doesn't have that atmospheric feel. There's an atmosphere to it, but it doesn't have that.
Well, it's more
It's-
like the feeling of like that, the hype of like, oh, watching Star Wars, like going on an adventure, like
The
Yeah,
opening
it's
of
not
Star Wars
necessarily-
always does. The opening of Star
Yeah,
Wars
yeah.
always does, right? But
Yeah.
like in general, and I don't think it's a movie that requires a lot of like a lot of over like. It depends, right? Like, because horror movies too, like they're supposed to be designed for that kind of tension and like make the atmosphere almost thick. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you could almost like
100%.
feel it. And when they fail to do that, then it's like a terrible horror movie because it's really all its job is to make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel unsafe, make you feel
Yeah.
that tension, and play with your head a little bit. So even when you get home to your safe space, you're like, something's fucky up in here. For like your imagination starts effing with you, right? Like,
Well, that's the thing. Like the most of honestly to me, like I never like when not every horror film, like because again, like a lot of slasher films, I watch it for just the pure entertainment of it. But like a really good horror movie to me doesn't necessarily scare me when I'm watching it. It
it
scares
F's you
me.
afterwards.
It
Yeah.
scares me when I get home
And you're thinking about it.
and the lights are still off and I have to walk into my
And
house.
it's dark and shit, and you're like, oh shit.
Like,
yeah, I know what that feels.
if it-
Or like when you're going to bed and you're like have to turn your lights off at the end of the hallway or like the bottom of a staircase. So you turn it off and you like run away and it feels like something's like right there. Man.
Yeah, like to me that
That's
is
some
as
good
much
shit.
that's as much a part of the experience of like a
Adrenaline.
horror movie as the movie itself,
Yeah.
you know, like what it like the fact that it made you feel unsafe in your house.
Yeah.
That to me is like when something's like really effective.
When it hits.
So.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, again, I've had experiences before where like I'll watch a movie in the theater and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that was a really good time. It was entertaining. I'll get home and then I just get a chill up my spine, like, oh jeez, what the hell? Like,
Probably shouldn't
I
have
was
watched
doing
that film.
Yeah. Oh, God,
It's,
it's-
it's one of those movies where you watch it and you're like, this is great, and afterwards you're like, I hate myself. like,
Yep, pretty much.
like,
Oh, that wasn't anything. And then 2 hours later, you're like laying in the dark and you can't even go to sleep. It's just like,
well, apparently
Oh my
that
God.
was something.
yep, pretty much.
Yeah. I hear it. Man, great answers. For me, for myself, like the first movie I'm gonna try and go see in theaters is A Quiet Place Part 2. Because I've been
Ooh,
waiting
yeah.
for that one since before the pandemic. Because it was supposed
Speaking
to
of
come. It was
atmospheric
like
horror.
it literally was supposed to come out right when everything locked down. It was like, God
Yeah.
damn it. So I've been waiting for that one, and now it's out, and that's what I was tempted to go see last weekend, but I might try and sneak it in the next couple weeks here. Mask up and whatever, and try and see if I can go to the theater without dying. It's one of my.
And what the hell, right?
Yeah, well, I've been I got my first vaccine a couple of weeks ago now, so I should be pretty good to go. But yeah, I want to go see A Quiet Place Part 2 because that I watched the first one and I was like, shit, I wish I would have seen this in the theater. Because the amount of like tension again and atmosphere
that's
that
also-
John Krasinski makes just with like the sound mixing and what he does with the lack of sound is really powerful. And I think that's one of those ones you almost have to experience is going to be more powerful in the theater. Say that.
See, and that's where for me, like, I watched it at home, and honestly, it was just amazing. Like, it's one of those things that I don't feel inclined to go see it in the
Yeah.
theater because the home viewing was so good that, like, I'm like maybe it'll be better, but like not by much. Like
Well,
the movie itself
apparently-
is so good.
Apparently there was a real phenomena with The Quiet Place, like unlike a lot of other movies where like people like talking or anything in the theater, the movie is so quiet that like you hear anytime anyone does anything in the audience, you hear it and it just kind of adds to the overall atmosphere.
See, and I think that too many people would be making noise, and I just get annoyed.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm that's one of the first ones I want to go see, and I'll be able to find out if it's worse in the theater or better at home. And the best part too about the first one, like again, it had so much heart and like story into it, but like also like and it wasn't even scary. Like I didn't find it like overly scary, but the level of tension that they used was like really strong.
Yeah.
especially again with
yeah.
the audio, but. like it wasn't a super long movie either. It wasn't super drawn out. Like it was very focused. It was very tight, and I really appreciated that. Because in the same time, it would take me to watch like a fucking 3 hour movie. It's like or more. Like I can't remember if that movie was only like an hour and was it an hour and a half? Maybe a little bit shorter. I can't remember. It wasn't super long, and it was a tight film. And it's like you could watch that. That's one movie I could watch back to back, like today. So I'm excited to see part 2. I think it should be pretty sweet. Any movie, if I could pick at all to watch, I think I'd want to watch Jurassic Park in the theater. That's one that I was like always sad that it came out when I was just little, too young.
Haven't
Did we
did we get to see it?
in 3D?
Maybe.
Like I didn't end up seeing it in 3D.
Or did we just see it in theaters?
I had a so
I'd be jealous because I
there
don't
was-
think I have not seen that one in theaters. I've seen the second one in theaters, third one, and then the rest or whatever. But I haven't seen that first one in theaters. And so if I could just go back and watch it, I totally would, especially coming out of COVID, going to watch a really, really solid film in theaters. It'd have to be Jurassic Park for me.
100%.
100%.
So like there was a so like I got an opportunity to like there was a little independent theater like I can't remember what neighborhood it's in, but like it was a small independent theater and they were showing Jurassic Park. Like it was like there was a punk show
Okay.
and then they were showing Jurassic Park and it was a friend of mine, Luke, and he took me to this thing. Like we showed up like just at the tail end of the punk show and all that, and then like they started playing the movie. And like I was really excited because like, oh man, Jurassic Park, it's gonna be great. Except the audience for it, because you know they showed up for a punk show.
Yeah.
They then basically like spent most of the movie just riffing on it, but not like good riffing, but like everyone was laughing because you know, a bunch of punks. And we got to about the raptor scene. And then Luke just kind of leans over, is like, "Do you want to leave?" And I'm like, "Yes, please."
Like people are
'cause
just killing me here.
I want to watch Jurassic Park in the theater, and like all these everybody's just being a terrible Mystery Science Theater ripoff.
Yeah.
So we left and we went and got shawarma, and he like the dude like apologized. He's just like, you didn't make them be terrible. Like it's fine. It was it was a fun experience regardless, but like I was just really tilted that I didn't get to watch Jurassic Park like properly, you know.
Yeah, no.
But
I'd be too, man.
yeah,
I'd be too.
but yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, because it's a good movie.
Yeah, it is really good. That's my question.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Anyway,
Sounds good.
and with that, we're gonna wrap up this episode. It was a good time. We had a lot of like really good conversations. Might be a little bit longer than our normal ones, but that's okay for today.
Always happens when we had a third party.
Always happens,
Yep.
yeah. So this is gonna be this is our 2005 favorite films, and come back next week where we're gonna get into our comfort films, which make us feel really comfortable, maybe a little guilty after. Who knows? Maybe we'll have to wait, see, and talk a little bit more about that, and get some more questions of the day from Ethan and Prosser, who ain't paying their rent. They're gonna be paying their rent next week. Damn it! Or you're out.
We're actually getting our rent back.
Oh my god.
You're out on your own. Prosser, seeing as you're a guest, we'll start with you. Tell us where the good people can find you.
So you can find me at thatjprosser on Instagram. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, Jesse Prosser. And you can also find mine, Ethan and I's film, Damned Rights, at realhouse.org. Go there, rent it, buy it, whatever you want. All the support's appreciated. And, yeah, just check out my stuff.
Cool, man. Ethan, where can the good folks find you?
I mean, I don't know. Shouldn't they know this by now, Matt? Shouldn't they know? Hi, you guys can find me at Instagram at Ethan
one
R. Hill.
answers,
You
just
can
like,
also find me at
quiet.
YouTube at Ethan R. Hill. And you can also find our movie where Mr. Prosser said. Yeah, go check it out. Give us some money and some support. And yeah. How about you, Matt? Where can they
Sweet
find
deal.
you?
You can find me freaking nowhere. I am nowhere. I'm like a freaking enigma. You'll never be able to track me down. Actually, hopefully at this point, because this is coming out Monday, right?
Yes.
hopefully at this point I have my new podcast up and running. It is roughly called Gaming Night Radio. So just on this podcast app that you're listening to right now, just type that in. You should be able to find it. So that's where you can find me right now, currently, if I actually get it up and running by Monday. If not, it won't be there. But pretty soon.
If not, we'll scrub this from the edit.
Pretty soon. But that's pretty much it. I'm taking a break for some of my other things, just trying to refocus on specific things instead of trying to do everything at once. Try and focus on a couple specific projects. So that's where you can find me right now. Other than that, this has been a great chat. I've had a great time. Thanks for coming by, Prosser. We'll have you back next week here as well. And this has been A Feast of Films, episode 32, part 1. Join us next week for part 2. Have a good one.
See you. Have a good week, everybody. I don't remember. Have
You
a
know
good
what?
week, everyone.
You know the funniest shit? Okay, so you know how usually every week I open with like my YouTube intro? I just start ending with my YouTube outro. It's like, wait, that's not fucking right. And I nailed it this week too. I didn't use the YouTube intro this week. But it had to show up somewhere.
That's dropping the ball.
Anyway, see you later, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good week, everybody.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.
Don't you join in. We don't like you.
See
Get
you
out
guys
of
next
here.
week.
Bye.